I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 71 of Tales from Godric's Hollow, the world's number one... I don't even have a witty thing this week for this podcast name. I got nothing. These chapters just left me totally blank. That's what we're doing tonight. We're working off a clean slate, folks. I am one of your hosts. I am the muggle of the show. I am the scatterbrained Josh Brown. I am joined, as always, by the best professor made to look like a piece of furniture, Matt Soderbergh. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh.
How are you doing?
I'm wondering what kind of piece of furniture I look like.
Not in your normal everyday attire.
If I were to transfigure myself into a piece of furniture,
yeah,
what would I look like?
An ottoman.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can get away with an ottoman.
I just realized that's like the whole premise of Beauty and the Beast.
Except they didn't really have a choice in the matter.
No, they didn't. But I have never made that connection. It just clicked that like Beauty and the Beast is Slughorn over and over. Like that's the whole every character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to be talking about chapters 4 and 5 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince tonight. For warning the listening audience out there, I did not dislike the chapters this week as much as last week. I just felt meh. Like, they came, they went. I'm disappointed. I'm sad. I'm upset and frustrated at one certain aspect of them. But overall, more... she wasn't as slick as she has been with the recaps. We got a lot of recapping in these two chapters, as if we've got to book 6 and we forgot who these characters were. It was just, I don't know, man. I'm all over the place. I heard in our emails, we got some emails this week that some people are trying to figure out what's wrong with the Muggle. So I look forward to that, Matt.
Yeah. And I think we're just looking at these chapters differently because I didn't even think about these being recap chapters. Like, I don't know.
I mean, they were and they weren't, but like, they were more so than we had last book. Last book spoiled me, Matt, with how a book should start. It really did. And now we're just back to the normal, I don't know. You do know what I mean, though, right?
I kind of.
Sort of, maybe?
Yeah. Like, I was hoping this week would be better. It sounds like it might be a little bit better, but still.
Yeah.
It's going to be a slog.
It'll be a slug horn for sure. Where's the action? Where's the adventure? Where's the excitement? We had a deep emotional.
It's a different form of excitement.
Is it?
Yes.
What form would that be?
It's hard to describe right now, but I don't want to get into it too much right now because I think some of our listeners did really well in explaining why these like last week and this week are so near and dear.
Okay. I look forward to it. Again, I'm not... Okay, I do sound pretty down on these chapters. And
I would say so.
we got a new character, but then we got I don't know. We got more Dumbledore. We got more Harry and Dumbledore buddy copping it up,
which we've never had.
I know. It's hard, Matt. It really is. They felt all over the place. I don't know why. Things just felt disjointed, and I was trying to learn new stuff and try to remember old stuff and mix them all together. There's a lot going on, Matt. And
a lot going on. Action.
In the world, not in these chapters. There's a lot going on everywhere else. And I want to know about that stuff, not this. But anyway, you know what? We're going to have a fun show either way.
All right.
I guarantee you that, Matt. I got nothing I want to talk about before we start the show.
That's quite all right.
So I think we should just go ahead and give away something for free. A wonderful prize to a beautiful listener out there. And then we'll just start talking about this, and we'll try to work through my meh feelings about this whole thing. All right. Last week I asked people to send in an email, talesfromgarlicsilo@gmail.com, about which, if budget was not to be worried about at all, what character from the Harry Potter series that they would want to go dressed as for Halloween.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I also implored people to send in pictures if they've been a character at Halloween, if they were going to be. Did we have some responses to that, Matt? Were people in the Halloween spirit?
They were, definitely.
Good.
This week I'm going to need a number between 1 and 21.
1 and 21. I like that. That's a solid number of entries.
Yep.
Let's see here. They are going into their 6th year now. So I'm going to say lucky number 17. I just wanted to make you start counting backwards from the other.
Oh, you tried. You. All right. Give me a second here.
Uh-huh.
Looks like our lucky winner this week is Kim.
Kim?
From New Zealand.
How about that? Congratulations, Kim. What did Kim write in and say that she would be dressed as if she could, or if she did?
She says, firstly, my entry is unlikely to ever happen. So she hasn't yet.
Okay.
I said last week that Halloween is not huge here, and it turned out this year to be a complete fizzer. Not one trick-or-treater came to our door. A bit disappointed, but the chocolate didn't go to waste. So I would be Bellatrix, because she's just so removed from my own personality. Huh. I could never in my wildest dreams be as nasty as her. But I love Helena Bonham Carter, how she plays the role, and the costumes they use for her. Unfortunately, I don't know if I could pull it off, no matter how good my costume was.
Yeah, you have to reach down deep and find some hatred in your soul to portray that character accurately.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I'm sorry Halloween was a bust down in New Zealand. That makes me sad. Apparently you guys didn't get the memo that Halloween is awesome. Maybe next year, you know?
Hey, at least she was ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, look, no one is ever really upset about leftover candy from a lack of trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, that you didn't have to go door to door in the cold to get.
Yeah, you didn't even have to work for it. I mean, you got to buy it, sure. So that's the thing. Whereas, the day after Halloween is the best day to go get candy.
Oh yeah,
because
my wife and I do that every year.
Mm-hmm. Slash those prices, man.
Right after midnight, head out to Walmart, 24-hour Walmart.
50% off, yes, please.
Yeah,
stash up on some of those. You're good to go for a while. And you didn't, like you said, you didn't have to do any of the hard work to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, congratulations, Kim. Thank you to everybody that wrote in. Did anybody include pictures, but just out of curiosity?
There are a few pictures.
Okay. Maybe you can share them with me later.
Yeah, either share them with you or maybe we'll either do something social media or in the show notes or something like that.
Sure. Do you know if they were from this year's costumes or years past?
I think there are some of each, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you to everybody. Congratulations, Kim, on that book that we were giving away. Let me know how it is. Please feel free to share as many pictures of the book that you want, because I can't read it. So, help me out here. Stay tuned for the end of the show. We got another cool giveaway. A really cool. Okay. Matt picks all the prizes. Like, I'm super excited to give away everything that we do. Every once in a while, there's something that we give away that I am super excited about giving away. This is one of those things. It's true. Stoked. Mainly because I forgot about it. Shocker. But now that I remember it's a thing, I'm so excited.
We'll see how many other people remembered it was a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Val definitely did not remember, I don't think. So she'll probably try to enter. So good luck with that, Nat. Sourcing through all those fake names. Let's go ahead and get into it, shall we?
We should.
Chapters 4 and 5 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
All right, chapter 4. Not too much to question here. Horace Slughorn.
Horace Slughorn.
And wouldn't you know it, we have a new character named Horace Slughorn.
Okay. Confession time.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this Horace Slughorn character is going to be around.
Okay.
Sounds like probably all year. I'm going to have a really hard time not thinking about Slugsworth from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory whenever his name is said.
Wait, Slugsworth?
Right. The guy in the back alley that was trying to bribe the kids to steal the everlasting gobstoppers for him. The really shitty dude.
Yeah, I didn't remember his name was Slugworth. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like 99% sure on that.
Oh, yeah. I looked it up.
Okay.
His name's Arthur Slugworth.
Yep.
But yeah, I probably could describe the guy to you, but I wouldn't have been able to give you his name for whatever reason.
Yeah. For some reason, that name has always stuck with me. Always.
Yeah. You should not picture him.
Yeah, like I don't have like a clear mental image of him, like other than like the long trench coat and the hat and like the overall creepy vibe. But the name itself, like, is just I'm going to have a hard time with this, like transitioning into what this character is. Also, his description kind of reminds me of Andy Reid. Not going to lie. NFL
Honestly,
coach.
Yeah. That is not a bad. Yeah, I can see that.
So I have this really weird mental image of this Horace Slughorn character.
So it's like a creepy Andy Reid.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
awesome.
Probably not as good at football, but yeah.
Well, if they let him use magic, I mean, who knows?
Horace Slughorn.
Yeah. And just to finish off the list, I know you probably wrote them off, but there were a few other characters mentioned, such as Dirk Cresswell, Barnabas Cuff, Ambrosius Flume, Cicerone Harkis, and Gwenog Jones.
When in the world were those mentioned?
Well, you were sleeping, apparently.
Yeah.
These are some of the folks that, Mr. Slughorn here kind of helped out along in past years, and they're his connections, if you will.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
The folks he's very proud of.
Sure. Yeah, some of his favorite students, right?
Yeah, like he helped them out in some way, and so they kind of return the favor now and then. Like Wennock Jones was the captain of the Harpies, and so he can
Right.
get free tickets to the game whenever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we talk a little bit about some of them, but
There's a whole lot of things going on there that kind of made my head spin a little bit. So
yeah, he's an interesting character.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
The collector, one might say.
Yes, absolutely. I'd hope you. I mean, Dumbledore does eventually kind of point it out directly, but there are just so many little tidbits along the way that leads him being a collector. And knowing you and me, we like collecting.
Right.
It's in our blood.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a connection there.
Now I can't stop thinking about the collector from the Marvel universe.
I figured you might.
Boy, this mental image of Horace Slughorn is getting weirder by the second, Matt. All right, so Harry and Dumbledore operate together.
They do.
Harry clean onto Dumbledore's arm because he can't operate by himself.
Yep. Doesn't know how.
Yeah. The description of it sounded far more intense than I pictured it being.
Yeah.
I was always envisioning it to be similar to using a portkey, like the whooshing, traveling, but this made it sound like it's a lot more physically intense.
Okay, so take what you just read in this chapter. And the description you just gave me, right?
Yeah.
More physically intense.
Right.
Does it make a little bit of sense why you asked me back in Fantastic Beasts why they always seem to be out of breath?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, especially when they keep doing it rapidly. Like this happens time and time again.
Right. Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay. I get that now. Cool. I thought we were going to a new village, a new wizarding village. Got excited for a second. Turns out it was not. Disappointment, Matt. Disappointment.
Yeah, it's not so much. I mean, it's not even his house.
Yeah. It's a muggle house. He's just house sitting.
Kind of.
He goes from house to house while they're away.
He's kind of squatting.
A little bit, yeah.
Like that, and that just seems weird to me. Like wizards squatting in muggle homes. Like, we always talk about well, can't they just conjure things up? And it's borrow one of them magic tents and live in that out in the woods or something.
Right.
Why do you need to run from house to house?
Yeah. Because he likes the finer things in life, Matt.
He does.
I was excited because it appeared that we were going to be getting a new teacher, because Dumbledore is down a teacher. So it's new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher time.
It's true.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I live for these moments in this book. And then I had this realization that, man, my Muggle theories is so wrong. Chapter 4, and it's just blown out the water. Just, we're getting a new teacher that's not who I predicted was going to be a teacher.
Yep.
So, that was disappointing. But I was like, well, maybe he's not going to sign on, because it kind of seemed like from Dumbledore that there was a chance that he wasn't going to be able to talk him back into it. Horace is living the retired life. Sure, he's on the run constantly, but he seems content with his way of living, I guess. Some reason Dumbledore is bringing Harry along because, again, they're playing the good cop, bad cop type of scenario, which oddly enough played out way more accurately than I could have predicted.
Yes, the strangest part is that Harry doesn't even know what part he's playing until it happens.
He didn't even know he was playing a part.
Yeah.
Until afterwards.
He was just happy that Dumbledore asked him to come along on this trip.
Right.
And like that's one of the big things is like Dumbledore wrote in his letter is like, and like, if you are agreeable, you know, would you join me on this? Like, he doesn't tell him what they're doing or where they're going or why he wants him along or anything like that. It's just like, if you want to come along, that'd be great.
Yeah. You know, we learned some things along the way too. You know, you can't operate inside another wizard's house. Just you can,
yeah,
but you shouldn't.
Yes.
It's rude.
Courtesy dictates that we offer fellow wizards the opportunity of denying us entry, which I think is a great line, by the way.
Yeah.
But like, he doesn't say you can't, but he does imply, or at least say that many wizards will probably have anti-apparating type of charms up anyway.
Yeah.
So, but like, I find that interesting at the same time because this isn't his house.
Right.
So, like,
seems like Dumbledore knows that too.
Yeah. Which makes it all the more interesting that Dumbledore was able to find him.
Yeah. Well,
like, Dumbledore's a good wizard, but like I said, he's kind of been on the run from the Death Eaters and that type of thing. So how did Dumbledore know where to go? You know, he's only been there a few days and he just...
Dumbledore is mysterious in ways that we may never fully understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who knew his favorite jam was raspberry?
We do know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could assume. There was a very valid point brought up about, is that a fake Dumbledore? Like, with a fake Dumbledore? Like, and I was starting to question everything, too. I'm like, we've been down this road before. If this is a fake Dumbledore, I quit. I'm done with this book.
So I kind of like how Dumbledore handles this because he asked Harry about, like, you know, you've seen these guidelines, right? And it's like, have you been following? What do you think of them? And it's like, yeah.
Didn't Harry bring it up first?
Yeah, Harry brought it up.
Yeah.
But then Harry, like, Dumbledore asked him, it's like, how do you feel about it? Like, have you been doing this? And it's like, no, I don't think they're very good either. And like, but then he still elaborates on, like, that question, and I think he's just kind of rubbing it in. It's like, yeah, you see, this would be so easy to replicate. It's like it's basically a bad password system.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's all it is.
We get more into it in the next chapter too. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, what if somebody were to, like, you know, beat you up and force the password out of you? Like, that's not really a good safeguard.
Yeah, especially when you only have, like, that one question,
right?
And you use the same question every time. It's not like every time you log in you have to change your security question.
Yeah,
like, it's And I think that's what that's why I love Dumbledore kind of poking fun at it, because he's poking fun at the Ministry once again.
Yep.
And their safeguards.
Yeah. But, you know, it did make me think. I was like, oh man, we actually don't know this is the real Dumbledore. We went a whole year thinking we knew a professor, and it turned out to not be that. So who knows? We also did find out that I forget the name of him, but Tom, back in the day, made an army out of corpses.
Yes, the Inferi.
Inferi, okay. That's frightening.
Yeah, I mean, they never use this term, obviously, but they're reanimated corpses. I mean, I think they say something like bewitched or something like that, but essentially, they're zombies.
Yeah. Tom's zombie army. That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Mix those suckers with Dementors, and we got ourselves a ball game here. Yeah, I imagine these are being brought up because we'll see them again.
It's very possible. It's technically our second mention.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Harry asks about it here because he read it in the article, which we got in the last few chapters,
Right.
which like we didn't bring up because it was just a quick mention, but it was the first mention was in the last chapters.
Yeah. So now we know what they are.
Yep.
Yeah. I sneaky suspicion thinks that we'll revisit these
Yes.
zombie army fellows.
JK explained to us what they are for a reason.
Man, could you imagine just like never revisiting that, like getting to the end of the book and be like, wait a second, whatever happened to that zombie army we were talking about? Where's that zombie army? It's just for fanfic, I guess. I mean, it's what he's gonna do with the giant squid, so who knows? All right, so we finally meet Horace Slughorn, disguised as a chair.
Yes.
He made the house look like he had been kidnapped or attacked or taken or all of the above. I still can't really wrap my head around why. Was it just to mess with Dumbledore?
Well, okay, so we find out as he's talking with Dumbledore, like he asks, "Didn't you hear my intruder charm go off?" So he had basically an alarm system, a wizard alarm system set up.
Right.
And Dumbledore tripped it on his way in. And so that was his warning that, okay, someone's coming. I need to pretend I'm not here. So his thought was pretend that I've always thought kind of actually like killed because he puts the blood on the wall.
Sure. I guess like maybe just transforming it into a chair would have been enough.
For a muggle, sure. But if it's another wizard that, knows he could be hiding in plain sight, making...
Or it could just not be home.
yes, but I think making it look like someone got there before you.
I guess. It just seemed overly elaborate. I don't know.
This, more than anything, could possibly be JK trying to write his character for us.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit over the top.
Sure.
There you go.
I will just continue to imagine that he was just messing with Dumbledore because he thought it was funny, and we can move on because
I'm okay with that.
I think that's far more hilarious. He doesn't seem like the jovial, playful, joking type, but one could wish.
I think he and Dumbledore do have a very unique relationship, though.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, before we start learning more about Slughorn, there was a particular mention paid to a mysterious ring on Dumbledore's hand.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. There's a ring there that Harry's never noticed before, and Slughorn seemed to kind of notice it too. And
what's that about, Matt?
That would be a good question.
Man, I have no idea. Nothing. And then we moved on from it. Like it's okay. We got more stuff to talk about here.
Yep.
So yeah, put a pin in that one. Throw that up on the Muggle Theories crazy whiteboard.
There you go.
I have nothing to work with on that, Matt. Nothing. All right, so this is where the whole good cop, bad cop scenario played out. Dumbledore's like, excuse me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And, just be gone for a while and let the other one do the talking.
Mm-hmm.
Harry thought he was just chatting. Turns out he was working him over pretty good. Unintentionally. Breaking news.
Yeah.
Here at this podcast. It turns out that Harry does, in fact, have his mother's eyes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Mr. Slughorn did pick up on that for us.
We have actually heard that in every single book now, right?
It's very possible.
Yeah. That's a reoccurring thing.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like Harry is sick of hearing it, too. Which is awesome. He's just like, stop saying it. I know. Which, you go back to like the first year and he's just like, oh, what? Tell me more. And now he's like, oh my God, stop it. Yeah, she had great eyes. So do I. Cool. We've come so far in 6 years, Matt.
Yep.
Slughorn was his mom, Lily's teacher, professor.
Yes.
Now, did we know Lily was a Muggleborn?
I keep trying to remember, like, if it was actually laid out she was a Muggleborn.
It feels like this was, like, new information.
Okay.
But also it might have been implied before.
Yeah, if it feels new to you, we'll go with yes.
Well, it feels new, but it doesn't feel surprising. So that's why I'm conflicted with how to really pin it down.
Sure.
But then again, I wasn't surprised that Hagrid was a half-giant. That was brand new information, so...
Also true.
My head works in mysterious ways, Matt. I don't know. It seemed like this was like the first time it was like implicitly said that she was Muggle-born, although it might have been implied somewhere else, or maybe I just guessed it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
In any case,
cool
yeah, it was definitely made a big point in this chapter.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't seem too positive about Muggle-borns.
Yeah, just the way he phrases it, like, she was Muggle-born, but she could have passed as a pureblood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that supposed to mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, like, backhanded compliments.
Yeah.
It's like...
I'm not racist, but...
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, unintentional prejudice,
Mm-hmm.
Super weird, but not out of the ordinary with how we've seen other characters treat Muggleborns.
Sure. Unfortunately, we also know that he was the head of the Slytherin house.
Yeah. Then pieces started to come together on that one, didn't they?
Yeah. When you find the head of the Slytherin house making comments about purebloods and Muggleborns, like it doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
We've seen that too many times before.
Right. I like how Harry immediately balked at the notion that he was head of Slytherin. And he's like, whoa. Don't paint me into a corner here, Like, let's not stereotype at all. Just because I was Slytherin doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. It's like, well, why are you getting so defensive right off the bat? Like, maybe you are. I don't know how to feel about this. He was being super judgy and stereotyping Muggleborns, like...
until we find out, like, he actually wanted Lily in the Slytherin house.
Yeah.
Which just seems super weird. I mean, knowing what we know of Lily, like, why would you want her in the Slytherin house?
Because she was really good at what she did.
I mean, she was really good at what she did, but she would not fit.
No, but also it kind of does make sense that, it's, the Sorting Hat had a hard time with Harry.
Sure.
Going back between Gryffindor and Slytherin, There's something there. There's definitely something there. Lily doesn't strike me as a Slytherin. But then again, I thought the Marauders were, good guys and not jerks, and that turned out to be slightly inaccurate, so...
Sure.
But she, from what we've seen of her when she was a student, like, she was all on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very contrary to everything we know of Slytherin at this time, so... Anyway, Slughorn, Slytherin, of course. Like, this is just getting textbook at this point, Sirius was brought up in like a super passive, just I don't know. He didn't mean to be offensive in any way, shape, or form. Like, he clearly didn't know what Sirius was to Harry.
Yeah, he didn't know of that relationship.
Yeah.
As many people, like, we discussed that at the end of book 5. Like, Neville didn't know.
Right.
Like, no one knew except the trio and, well, a few of the teachers, I guess, and a few, well, the Order knew. Yeah. So it's like it wasn't common knowledge outside of the Order, and so yeah, he just doesn't understand that, so he didn't think anything of it.
Right. It's still hard to hear though, you know.
Sure. Yeah, he was more worried about his collection.
Yeah.
Like Sirius for him, Sirius was just the one that got away.
Yeah, because he had his brother, which I forget his name already.
Regulus.
Yes.
His younger brother.
Yeah.
So like he had all the blacks up until Sirius, and then Sirius's younger brother.
Yeah, but
he
wanted the duo.
Yeah, he wanted all of them.
Yeah. Weirdo. But like the more Harry talks to him, the more this guy is totally opening up and being less standoffish than he was when they first came into the house. And it kind of seemed like what Harry was doing, albeit unintentional, worked. You know?
Sure.
He told Dumbledore he's going to take the job with a pay rise. Now, Val read it like 2 or 3 times, and she's like, I'm 100% sure this says pay rise, but it feels like it should be saying pay raise. Have you heard this term before?
I hold on a minute, because now you're making me wonder, because I did not. I'm wondering if I read it wrong, or...
Well, I mean, going quickly through it, I mean, you would immediately just assume it said pay raise.
Yeah, and that's
but it
why...
definitely said pay rise.
In your copy, that's...
Yeah.
Shoot. Where is that? Oh, it was slightly earlier because it wasn't actually at the end of the chapter.
So I'm just curious, like, if this is a term that I'm just completely unfamiliar with, if this is a international thing.
Sure enough, I'll want a pay rise. Yeah, I'm gonna once again just like, I haven't looked it up at all because I obviously just found out about this. But I'm gonna probably chalk that one up to an international / British thing.
Yep.
So once again, that would be a great thing to see if that translated down to Australia, New Zealand, since I know we have listeners over there. I know we have listeners in the UK too.
Yep.
So
the international listeners, anybody outside North America.
Yeah.
You know what? It might even be a Canadian thing. Anyone outside the States.
This could be interesting. You type pay rise into Google and you get the second result is pay rise or pay raise.
Yeah.
So apparently it's a thing of contention.
Okay.
Might
be a typo.
Yeah. I'm not going to spend too much time looking up right now. I'll bookmark this so I can look at it later. But yeah, if that's another one of those things. I would love to know if it's commonly used elsewhere today.
Yeah.
Is this an old-fashioned term? Is it something that is regional or whatever? You guys know the drill by now.
Yeah. It's been at least a fortnight since I've heard a confusing word or phrase from international audiences.
That's not true. We had one last week, but nice try. Last week was fug.
Oh, that's right.
Right. All right. Pay rise. Got it.
Pay rise. Nah, I started I went down a deep mental rabbit hole here. And
Sure.
I was thinking, like, well, because hasn't been a professor for a while, like, it'd be weird to ask for a pay raise because he hasn't been getting paid. So maybe a pay rise is like, like more.
Has a slightly different meaning.
Yeah,
It's
like more than what he was making before.
Yeah, because a pay raise from 0 is it could be anything.
Anything, yeah. So I don't know. Let us know, folks. We're dumb Americans. Make us smarter, please. Anyway, he's taking the job. We have a new teacher. Hallelujah. I'm excited. Again, disappointed. I would have liked to see my prediction for new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher come true.
Sure.
But, I mean, this Slughorn guy, sure, let's bring in the Slytherin. That's going to work out well. I don't know how well his magic is, and, Harry's not sure what to think of him at this point.
Wait, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
What was your prediction again?
Snape.
And what house does he belong to?
I'm not saying that's a good idea, Matt. I know 100% that would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it's not going to be Snape, then why do we have to go for another Slytherin?
You're writing it off because he's a Slytherin now. So
look, I didn't make the prediction.
You were hoping for a Slytherin, and then you're complaining about a Slytherin.
No. I wasn't hoping for a Slytherin. I was just hoping to be right. I would gladly be wrong if it wasn't for the fact that another Slytherin is making me wrong. So then it's just a wash all the way around.
All right.
Yeah. You know I don't trust Snape. Why would I want him teaching that class? Are you kidding me? I just thought it was going to be him. It seemed like the logical choice.
All right.
I also predicted that it might be Dumbledore. Maybe he's going to pull up professor ranks again. He's too busy.
Well, he's finding extra time this year, it seems like.
Yeah, I know. But I thought he was going to go full in and teach the class, but
yeah.
Whatever. Slughorn the Slytherin. Cool.
Yep.
Great. Fantastic. Just what the kids need. Yeah. Then it got like, so they left. Like, Slughorn's in. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, Dumbledore and Harry got some more one-on-one alone time, and they're chatting it up. And they started talking a little bit more about Sirius, and it was getting a little emotional there for a second.
Sure.
Like, there was a lump in my throat just listening to it. It's really been the first time we've fully addressed what happened since the last time Dumbledore and Harry talked to each other. In non-matter-of-fact ways, Yeah. Slughorn brought it up. Uncle Vernon had brought it up. But nothing, like, as emotionally deep as, like, this talk that they were having was. And it sucked. It brought up some old wounds. Which I think, Dumbledore knows that Harry can't avoid those. Like, he needs to have them. He needs to attack them head on and try to work through them. He can't hide them and try to pretend like everything's okay or try to hide from the world. Like, Dumbledore knows that if Harry's going to be strong enough for what's ahead, that he needs to come to terms with losses. And that sucks. Yeah. But that's where we're at.
But I do really appreciate this section because not only is it a lot more Dumbledore Harry time that we don't get a lot of, but I think we really get to see Dumbledore kind of step in and try to take more of a, I don't know if you want to go as far as parenting, but at least counseling type of role with Harry.
Yeah.
Which is something I think he desperately needs.
Right.
And so whatever he's doing, I think it's great. Should he have done sooner? Probably. But
yeah. Oh.
still, the fact that he's kind of stepping up and trying to fill that role for Harry right now is huge.
The fact that he's doing it before the school year starts, and
Yeah.
this is already progress.
And I mean, only a fortnight after the last year ended.
We had an incorrect usage and a correct usage all in the same week, Matt.
We're working on it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It is something that Dumbledore is needed to do. Like, hey, where were you after Harry watched Cedric die? You know, like, that would have went a long ways, Dumbledore. But it's hard to still be mad at Dumbledore for that, I guess. Like, yeah, he made mistakes, but now he's doing his best to correct those and make up for them.
Like, he's admitted that he's made mistakes and kind of failed Harry.
Yeah. So, and I think even Harry, like, doesn't blame him anymore or hold that anger that he had last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, you know what? Like, this sucks, but I'm okay. With Dumbledore has my back. I'm okay. Dumbledore also announced that he's going to be giving Harry private lessons. A little of this, a little of that. We don't know what exactly that entails. With Dumbledore,
nice independent study with Dumbledore.
It could be quilting for all we know.
Hey, he does like knitting patterns.
I've heard. So this will be interesting. This is also where he once again corrected Harry of the proper way to reference Snape is Professor Snape.
Yes.
Forever. That will always be a thing, won't it?
As long as he's a professor.
Harry, refuses to ever call him Professor Snape, and Dumbledore will correct him first and foremost every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has been in the broom shed at the Burrow.
I believe, it's the old outhouse.
Yeah. Which they now use for a broom shed.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is filled with spiders.
Yeah.
And they're all over Dumbledore's hat. And, Harry is, eyeballing these things, we're having a serious moment here, but there's also spiders all over you. I'm kind of freaking out. He's having, a mild panic attack and trying not to focus on the spiders. But, Dumbledore's just, rolling on it's no big deal. He doesn't even notice them, and that's the most frightening thing. And then at the end, he turns out it's yeah, I could shake my hat off, or I could take my hat off, but I don't want to shake spiders all over you. It's Dumbledore! You knowingly have spiders all over you, and you're just totally chill with it. I just don't understand that guy. I don't. I never will. I don't know how that could be okay. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, man.
All right.
But that's the end of the chapter. We're at the Burrow. Cool. Now we're about to have a chapter with the Weasleys. The honorary Weasley chapter.
It's a good chapter.
Yeah. Always
Or
is.
a good time. Yeah. We like the Weasleys.
Yep.
Chapter 5. An excess of phlegm.
Over the course of this series, Matt.
Yeah.
There's been some very obvious chapter titles.
Yep.
There's been some very profound chapter titles.
Yep.
Some very clever and witty chapter titles.
Sure.
And occasionally, there's a chapter title that just is so utterly confusing and so unexpected as to what the actual chapter will behold. It's amazing how you could even come up with the chapter title.
Yeah.
This is one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, it's definitely a phrase that gets stuck in your head because it is so unique. But I don't think there's any way anyone could predict their first time through the topic of this chapter.
Not a chance.
No.
No.
Like, there's no clues in the chapter as far as I know. I don't think there's any weird Latin roots that give us connections to what she's going to, like, it just, yeah.
It's about a nickname of a character that I haven't thought about in forever. And it's a nickname that we didn't even know was a nickname until this chapter.
Yeah. As far as we know, it's a nickname Ginny made up. So,
yeah.
Like, I mean, how are we supposed to know?
We weren't, and that's the beauty of it, Matt.
Yeah.
Because here we are, talking about how bizarre it is. Excess of phlegm. Did we get any new characters this time, Matt?
No.
Good. Done with new characters. Too many new characters for my liking. We had the return of a character, though.
We did.
And I don't know how to feel about it. How should I feel about it, Matt?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear from you. How do you feel about it?
I don't know. I really don't know. Indifferent, I guess. Like I'm trying to like figure out in the grand scheme of things how necessary it is. Like, will she be important in any aspect going forward? Maybe.
That would be a good question to ask.
Florida Liqueur is back.
Yes.
From Bobatons.
Whatever you feel like.
I totally forgot she was a thing. You know, out of sight, out of mind type of thing.
Yep. I mean, that's probably the reason we forgot the name of the headmistress last week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that like could semi be relevant to anything, like other than, you know, which we'll talk about in a little bit, her engagement to Bill Weasley.
Yep.
Is she is working at Gringotts.
Yes.
And here's the thing with Gringotts, Matt. Sit down and let me tell you a little something about Gringotts.
I think I know where you're going, but go ahead.
We are in book 6.
Yes.
And I have still yet to find out what the deal is with the dragon sitting on top of Gringotts Bank in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Yes.
We have less than 2 books now to figure that out. Because if not, I'm going to be really confused and really upset that they just threw a dragon on top of a bank just for the fun of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's like, yeah, there's a bank in these books. Yeah, there are dragons in these books. Sure. Put them together.
Absolutely. I just, in my gut, feel like there's a reason behind it.
If you say so.
Goblins are still a thing. Like we had the what was it? The Goblin Liaison Office referenced in the last chapter.
Sure.
You know, like we're dancing around the subject. It's like JK's just messing with me at this point. Like, I don't know if anybody else ever cared this much about finding out about these stupid goblins and their stupid bank and the stupid dragon and like the Goblin Rebellion and like why they have a liaison office. Like, there's so much I want to know about these stupid goblins, and it just feels like we're just dragging our feet getting to this answer. So what I'm trying to say is, Matt,
yeah,
we now know another person that's working for this bank.
Yes.
That's the only connection I could possibly make to her being relevant or important to the story going forward at all.
Well, just like you said with the Inferi in the last chapter, like, there's a reason JK brings these things up.
You would think. But then again, I'm still waiting for, you know, my special amazing story plot with the giant squid. That's never coming. So I am ready for disappointment at all angles.
All right.
We're back at the burrow.
We are.
Tonks is there.
She is.
Yay.
But
Tonks is sad.
Yeah.
And weird and moody and not herself.
Well, you got to be careful
she's
with
not
that word moody.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Other people have been moody. Literally.
Yes. I mean, she is a shapeshifter, so possible. That would be extremely weird. Yeah, I don't know what her deal is, and I'm worried. I didn't realize that we would find out by the end of this chapter what was going on with her, so that was kind of a relief. But ultimately, like, she's just a sad Tonks.
Yeah.
You know, she's feeling guilt about Sirius. She feels like she's to blame that she didn't take out Bellatrix before Bellatrix took out Sirius. I think Sirius would laugh in her face and tell her, stop being foolish, like, you know, it wasn't your fault that I got killed type of thing.
Sure.
That seems like a serious thing to say. But, you know, Tonks is taking it hard. She's younger. She probably hasn't experienced warfare like this before. You know, it's it's unsettling. She lost somebody. Apparently, her and Sirius were cousins. Did I know this? Is this new information?
Not new information.
I cannot keep Sirius Black's family tree straight to save my life, Matt.
Yeah, this is something we learned, I believe, the first time we met her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I guess I wasn't surprised once again. But
I think it was another reason that you liked her.
That's possible. Yeah. Or why I trusted her right off the bat.
Sure.
At this point, I feel like if somebody's not related to Harry Potter, then they're probably just some way related to Sirius Black.
Well, I mean, they were a pureblood family.
Yeah.
And so there is going to be a lot of connections stemming from that.
Yeah.
But speaking of Tonks, you mentioned, she's kind of sad, kind of depressed, and we learned one interesting tidbit about magic because of this.
What was that?
That apparently your mood can affect your magic ability.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't know how far to take, like, that. Could that affect, like, all your magic? Like, is it just affecting her because of what type of magic she's involved with and is capable of? Like, is that a specific type of magic that would be or could be influenced by mood?
Sure. It's a little tough to say because they mention it in reference to her Animorph Magus ability, which is, as we've discussed, it's something she's born with. It's not something that can be learned. And so, yeah, does the mood only affect that? Or does it affect all magic? Or, like, it's... I like to read it as it affects all, or could affect all magic.
Yeah.
Like, it would make sense. If your mind is elsewhere...
Sure.
You're not focused on it, and it's going to affect it.
I get that. I just thought it was maybe more pronounced for her because, you know, what she's capable of. But who knows?
Yeah.
To me, she's like a mood ring, you know?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, we usually see happy-go-lucky Tonks, a little bit clumsy, but... the bright bubblegum pink hair that she's always described as like that's like when she's happy, that's what she likes to go around as. But this seems to be kind of maybe default songs.
Yeah,
it's like this is her natural state because she's not putting forth her magic's off.
Sure. Yeah, but we've also seen when she gets mad, like her hair turns fiery red.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Tonks. She's something else, Matt.
She is indeed.
Apparently, she's Sirius's cousin. Get a Crookshank sighting. You know how I feel about that.
You love some Crookshanks.
Crookshanks is there. You know, Hermie is not too far away, which is nice.
Yeah, I love how that's been Harry's cue a few times now. It's like Crookshanks shows up. Oh, where's Hermione?
Yep. Yeah. One of these days, Crookshanks is going to show up, and you know, something else might happen.
You never know.
I hope so. I can't carry this on much longer. Let's see. Mr. Weasley got a promotion. It's a big job, an even bigger job title.
Yep. Yeah, that job title's ridiculous. I hope he doesn't have to wear like a badge or anything.
You know he says it every time he's introducing himself to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's Mr. Weasley in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The Weasley family clock is broken.
Or is it?
Yeah, no, it's totally impending doom.
It's because it flips to traveling.
Yeah,
like I appreciate that it still moves and flips to traveling.
Sure,
but it makes me wonder. Is like, does that imply that while he's traveling, he's not in mortal peril?
Yeah, because he's safe. Because whatever the means of travel is, he's good to go. You know, if he's apparating, then...
Well, then they should just be traveling all the time.
Yeah. Can you get killed mid-apparition? I don't know.
It's a good question.
Hopefully we don't have to find the answer out. I had totally forgotten about her clock until this chapter. I was like, oh yeah, she does have that thing.
Yeah, that's why we love coming back to the Weasleys. They have all the cool stuff.
Yeah, and although, she had taken it down, now she just carries it around with her.
Yeah, that's kind of depressing, but...
Yeah, she's losing it. Then we had, like, the best thing to come from these chapters.
Yeah?
Yeah. Arthur and Molly's exchange at the door. Going back to the old security question to make sure they are who they say they are.
Which, unfortunately, Arthur seems to read a little too much into.
Well, does that surprise you? Because it shouldn't.
No.
He insists on doing this because that's, he's trying to set a good example. It's what the Ministry decided this needs to happen. So he she asks what his big life ambition is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
What could Mr. Weasley's big life ambition be? I was not ready for the answer, Matt. It caught me off guard big time.
That's good.
He just wants to find out how airplanes stay up in the air.
It's a very valid question. I mean,
he loves Muggle things.
Yes. It's like, obviously, with magic, they know how to fly.
Yeah.
They've got their broomsticks and such. Like, fly. It's not that flying is such a big deal. It's how do they get airplanes? Just like I've gotten a car to fly.
Right.
But these giant planes, like, how does that work?
Yeah. Of all the Muggle things we have, like, airplanes are probably the most mysterious and magical things we own.
Yeah. Most, if you don't fully understand the science behind it.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like magic.
But even then, like, you think, like, even the people that are, like, very adept and fluent in aerodynamics, they still just kind of, like, look up in the sky and be like, man, that really works. Like they get paid to do the job well, but a small part of them is just like defies everything we know about things.
Yeah.
Just when you thought the laughs were going to be done there, Arthur has to ask Molly a question.
Yes.
He wants to know what he calls her late at night when no one else is around.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, this is a children's book. I think.
Well,
How far is JK going to go with this?
It's getting darker and grittier, but yeah.
Yeah. The room got a little uncomfortable. I was tugging at my shirt collar a little bit. Like,
because it's like it is late at night.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know that Harry's there on the other side of the door. Like, she hasn't stopped to tell him. It's like, dear, Harry's here. Would you please?
No.
Yeah.
Because she did that, he would suspect something.
It's like, Mrs. Weasley, you should have picked a better security question.
She's all embarrassed. He's all excited. Molly Wobbles.
Yes.
Quite possibly the funniest pet nickname for anybody ever in the history of ever. If anyone out there is listening and their name is Molly, if your partner doesn't call you Molly Wobbles, you are doing life wrong, because I'm tempted to call Val that, and that makes no sense whatsoever.
Honestly, I was just going to say, I hope next time you address Val, it better be with Molly Wobbles. It's like, Josh, yes, Molly Wobbles?
So good.
And
so Arthur Weasley to a T. It's disturbing how well JK has written his character. I picture the scene in my head being played out on the movie, which it probably won't be, but I could just see the characters, like the actors that play these characters, going through this exchange, and like the dumb look on his face as like this exchange is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Let's see. What else is going on in the Burrow? The twins have moved out. Do we know where they're living now?
Yeah, she mentions it in this chapter.
Huh.
They're living in the flat above their shop.
Oh, okay. In my head, I figured they were probably just sleeping in the back room at the shop. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
Somehow I missed that.
Yeah, it's just a brief one-liner, but yeah, it's because they're so busy. It's like, instead of traveling back and forth all the time, just stay there.
Yeah. No. Yeah, totally. They turned their old bedroom into a warehouse for their joke shop.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course they did. Of course they did. You know what? Let's just stop there. Because we did the Muggle poll this week. And I was going to say it for the end of the chapter, but I was like, there's a lot of things to happen that I don't want to go back to, because this was still like a very small thing in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But it's a fun thing to think about. So you put up the Muggle poll on our Twitter account, at Tales from GH, and you put up the Muggle poll every week about 4 p.m. Pacific time on the day that we record, which is typically Mondays. It always has something to do with the chapters that we're reading, and this week you crafted it around this empty bedroom / warehouse, right?
Yeah.
What did you ask the people out there?
I asked people, if you were left alone in Fred and George's warehouse, as Harry was briefly, well, I mean, for the night then too, like after everybody left, but would you inspect the goods? Would you be interested? Like you know Fred and George,
mm-hmm.
You know what they're capable of. You know that they have a joke shop. Like, would you poke around? Like, would you be interested? Would you open those boxes? Would you stay far, far away from these boxes? Or would you be curious, but maybe, find a long stick or a cane or an umbrella or something that, can open them from a distance?
Here's my problem with this, Matt.
Yeah?
I have a slight problem with the options that you presented for the people to choose from.
Okay.
And that's only that absolutely wasn't followed by an exclamation point. Because that's really the only right answer.
Yeah. And
absolutely. I trust the twins implicitly, you know? Like,
sure,
there's
sure.
not going to be anything in that house that is going to be overly dangerous at all.
Well, the only problem is, like, okay. Well, anything that I find that's to be eaten, I'm not going to eat it without them there. Because I don't necessarily know what the antidote is. Like, they always have an antidote. But if I don't know what it is, I'm not going to risk it. Because there are things that, like, make you constantly, I don't know, vomit or bleed or whatever the case may be. And if you don't know how to stop it, it could be deadly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as
curious.
Just inspecting the goods and looking at what they have and what they're up to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be opening those boxes all night. I don't think I'd sleep.
Yeah.
Which thankfully, the vast majority of our audience agrees.
Yeah.
60% on absolutely. We even had Emily write in, so this is a question? I've never wanted to leave the warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
We did have 32% that were curious and would just poke it with a long stick. But we did have 8% that would stay far, far away. So,
all right, whatever.
Less adventurous types.
Yeah. Slytherin, I bet.
I was going to say Hufflepuff. But...
What? Matt, we're curious folk. We're not adventurous. Like, we're not going to mess with this stuff. But, you know, we're curious to see what's going on in there.
All right.
Yeah, come on now. Hufflepuff, come on, man. Thank you to everybody that replied and had fun with that. The Muggle polls are always fun to check in with you guys each week, so I appreciate that. Back to the burrow.
Yes.
Jenny comes busting in. So Harry gets woken up by Ron and Hermie. He's still kind of confused. Like, Ron's kind of confused because he just found out that Harry's there. You know, he slept there all night, and Ron wasn't the wiser of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Molly's going to run up there and wake Ron up to let him know that Harry... Like, no. What?
Yeah, it was late night already.
Yeah.
Let everybody sleep. Nothing
changed. You know, like, they got all summer together. One would think. I don't know that. So, you know, Ron and Hermie are just chilling out there, and
okay, for the record, like, I know you told me you're using nicknames and they evolve and morph along the way.
Yeah.
But every time you say Hermie, I think of Hermes, which you probably don't remember at all. But Hermes was Percy's owl.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go back to Hermione. If you want. Hermie's just so adorable. Hermione. Ron and Hermione are just chilling, hanging. Jenny comes busting in. And Jenny and Hermione start going off on something that's super confusing right out of the bat. You know?
Yeah.
I have no idea what she's talking about, what they're talking about. And I'm starting to question myself until it's obvious that Harry has no idea what's going on either. I'm like, okay, I feel better about this because I may have just like skipped it. Did I doze off in the middle of this chapter? Like, what did I miss? What are they going on about? You know?
Yeah.
Nothing made sense. And then she came coming in with a tray full of breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
The wonderful Fleur Delacour.
Got it.
Hanging out in the Weasley house. That's weird.
It does seem weird. She hasn't been here before, so
yeah,
it's a new face.
I was also wondering, why was she like? Did she get a job like helping the Weasleys out at the house? Like, is this part of this safeguard that Dumbledore promised would be on their house, so Harry would feel okay staying there? Like I was super confused, but I was like, well, how is that good? Where does she come into? I totally forgot that her and Bill were a thing. So, we got that at the beginning of last book, right?
Did we?
I feel like, I don't know. We knew about it at some point. That they were friendly, at least. Right?
Trying to think when that would have come up.
It would have had to have been the beginning of the fourth book, because... Yeah.
Well,
at some point...
Wait, the beginning of the fourth book?
Man, we're on the sixth
We're on
book.
book 6.
Oh, boy. The beginning of the fifth book? When was the Goblet of Fire?
That would make more sense. Goblet of Fire was 4.
Okay. So it would have been the beginning of the fifth book.
Yeah, because Bill wouldn't have met her then.
Right. Yeah, because they were talking... I think they're doing like a quick recap of like what happened to the other tournament champions, and they're talking about what's his name went back to wherever he was from.
Yeah.
Can't think of his name, and Hermione was still writing letters to him or something. And I think there was like a casual mention of like her working for the bank, and
yeah, we found out she worked for the bank. And you're probably right that it was mentioned at that time, but
Bill taking an interest in her or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like, hey, Bill and Fleur are dating. It was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever.
I guess I always kind of write it off until this point when they get engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do some deep inner brain searching to try to put these pieces together when this was announced. So who knows? Whatever. They're a thing. They're engaged. Cool. It's always nice to see that all females still hate her. Jealous, I would say, but who am I to judge? Yeah, Ginny and Hermione definitely are not fans. Mrs. Weasley's not a fan of hers either, but like she's more of like a leaning on the protective mother side, which I get. I understand. She's like they're too young to be engaged and possibly elope and get married. Like they're rushing into this. They've only known each other a year, type of thing, and Voldy's back, and everybody's scared that this is the end. So they're just shacking up, and I think it was Jenny, right, that pointed out the fact that Molly and Arthur kind of did the same thing back in the day.
Did the exact same thing. Last time Voldemort came up in power, they got married.
Yeah,
they didn't know each other for very long either.
Yeah, Molly's excuse was, well, we were meant to be together.
Yeah,
sure. Nobody's doubting that, Molly.
And not at this point, but
at the time. I mean,
yeah. Who is to say back in the day? I mean, it would feel the exact same way, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Flora's a nice girl. Like, she played the tournaments, the Triwizard tournaments, as fair as she possibly could. Like, she wasn't into any...
I think she was the most fair of any of them.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else, like, broke the rules at some point, or was possessed, or tried to save too many people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's... She was pretty much the only one who followed the rules and kind of lost the tournament for it, but...
Right. So, I mean, as far as we know of her, like, she isn't a bad person. She does tend to kind of rub other females the wrong way.
Yeah. But just because of the way guys behave around her.
Yeah, so. Yeah, which, isn't necessarily her fault. Yeah. I mean, she is half Vila. So, she's nice. Maybe she's overly nice. The French accent, I think, gets to people. Like, she's floored to the core. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing she's ever done is push good old Ron away. Which, he was a younger kid at the time anyway, like, whatever. I just, and that's why I'm just like meh about this whole thing. Like, cool, Flora's back, and like everybody hates her, and I don't know why, but cool. But why is she back? How's she gonna fit into the later story? I don't know. We'll find out. For now, she's just gonna hang out with the Weasleys. Cool.
Yeah.
Ron's happy.
It's true. He doesn't mind.
No, he doesn't mind. What he does mind, though, is he better mind his manners when he's talking about my girl Tonks, because he may be quite smitten with his older brother's now fiance, but it doesn't mean he needs to throw shade at Tonks here.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. He was like, she's not that bad looking. She's no Fleur Delacour or anything, but she's okay. She's not bad. Jenny is just absolutely smitten with Tonks, which I find it
always has been.
Yeah, I love that. Just Ron just is so Ron sometimes. Like the day he learns to just shut his mouth and not speak before he thinks is the day that he will go far in this world.
Yeah. I don't see that happening.
No, me neither. He's a Weasley through and through. Let's see. Yeah, so this is where we kind of explored why Tonks was sad and guilt-ridden and everything like that, and they were trying to convince her to come over for dinner, or they suspected that Molly was trying to invite her over for dinner so that she could possibly catch the eye of Bill. Which, Bill's happy. Bill's in love. We could assume. So why break that up, Back off. Also, it doesn't seem like Tonks is like looking for a relationship right now. Like, she's trying to get over the death of somebody, the death of her cousin, who she feels responsible for. So maybe let's try to address those feelings first, Mrs. Weasley. Goodness. Then we ended the chapter with like the most exciting thing to happen to Hermione and probably since the big fight. We find out about the owl tests, the owl exams.
Sure.
I think it's fair to say that the owl exams played out exactly how we all thought they would play out.
I think that is fair.
Yeah, I don't think there were any big surprises. Ron and Harry got pretty much the same grades. They both failed the same two classes.
To be perfectly honest, I am always a little bit surprised at how well Ron does.
I wasn't, because I've always given Ron more credit for being smarter than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
He just doesn't express it or show it,
Yeah, I mean, good thing there's not an owl for tactfulness.
Yeah. I mean, he got more passing owls than the twins combined, according to Molly.
Yep.
Which says a lot about the twins, I guess, or more about Ron. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I think they told us they got like 3 apiece or something like that.
Yeah.
That would make sense because he got 7.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But you don't need those to be super successful in life. Like, as we could see from the twins, like, they're doing okay.
Exactly. Like, so I mean, we've had this discussion a little bit. Like, these tests kind of decide which track you can follow towards your future career. Like, they play a big part in that.
Right.
But at the same time, we see from the twins that you can kind of carve your own path too.
Yeah, totally. And, Ron and Harry definitely, they put effort into the owls, sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But it wasn't life or death for them. Like, they just wanted to get passing grades. Like, Harry had this idea of being an oar. But, like, other than that, it was just kind of like, we should do pretty good. Like, we should put some effort in, but we're not going to kill ourselves over this, Whatever happens, happens at this point.
Yeah.
Which is completely opposite of Hermione's mindset going into the owls.
Mm-hmm.
It was life or death for Hermione.
Yeah, Hermione is the epitome of every valedictorian I've ever known.
Yeah. Slight overachiever.
Mm-hmm.
And, she ended up being that one super smart kid who is going to be near breakdown because they got straight A's and then a B+.
Yep.
Essentially. Poor Hermione. She's just devastated. She's wrecked. Because of course she is,
Yeah.
It was in Defense Against the Dark Arts, which I feel like we could probably partially blame on Dumbridge.
Harry was able to get the O.
Harry's special.
You think?
A little bit. So yeah, I mean, obviously this is going to be a big deal for Hermione. Everybody else is just sitting there like, oh my god, Hermione, stop it. You're good. You're fine. Interesting though.
Yeah.
Other than that, Matt, that was the chapter.
Pretty much.
The return of Flora Delacour, for reasons unknown at this point. Sad Tonks and a very memorable and potentially unforgettable exchange between Mr. and Mrs. Weasley.
All right.
The highlights of that chapter. That's all I got. Like, I guess I'm slightly higher on the chapters than I was before we started, but
That's good. I always like to hear we can bring your opinion up a little bit.
yeah, I didn't hate him. I just, again, indifference is the best thing I could come up with. They happened. There are probably some relevant things that happened that I won't know how important they are until later on. So at this point, I just kind of have to take them at face value.
Yeah.
How about that?
All right.
Okay. How about emails? Do we have emails this week?
Oh, we got emails.
All right. Let's do
We got emails. First email comes in from Mary.
Hi, Mary.
She's apparently Luna's biggest fan.
Ooh, okay.
Who knew? Says, Dear Matt and Josh, so I'm a very long-time listener. I found your podcast on April 6th, according to my podcast app, and I've listened to every episode since then. I always told myself that I'm going to finally write an email, but I just haven't found time until now because I am a person, because of who I am as a person. I'm currently studying for my biochemistry test later today. I honestly cannot remember
Biochemistry?
Biochemistry.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yep.
I honestly cannot remember when I first started my journey into Harry Potter and crew, but I knew it was before I turned 11, so at least around 2006. Okay. Because I hopefully, even though I knew it wouldn't come, waited for my letter to Hogwarts on my 11th birthday. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I have fallen farther and farther in love with this world. I sometimes say that I'm a Potter snob because I think that I know pretty much everything you could know about Harry Potter. And anytime people say they love Harry Potter, I ask them who Winky is. Because there's no way anyone who would know who she is unless you've read the books. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know this isn't fair because anyone can love Harry Potter in any form or fashion, but sometimes I do catch the Potter snob coming out. And I love yeah. Oh, fun fact. She got engaged at Harry Potter World this past July.
Congratulations, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Someone obviously knows you very well.
Yeah.
That's a good place to do it.
Right. Also, can we stop there? I just want to appreciate how Winky is like the litmus test for like how big of a fan of Harry Potter you are. If that's all it takes, I am going to be killing it on the Harry Potter like quiz shows and message boards and fan meetups going forward, man. I got all those secondary third degree characters down pat.
It's definitely a good start.
As long as they're not human, I'm in.
As long as they're not human. Huh. What if they're part
wizard.
human?
No. Like the centaurs?
Yes. Half-breeds, if you will.
Filthy half-breeds.
Oh, boy.
Is that it?
Anyway.
Okay.
I love listening to your podcast because it's such an original idea, as far as I know. I love being able to have a fresh view on Harry Potter once again. I love hearing the Muggles theories, and Josh blows my mind when he predicts something correctly. But, Josh, I do have a slight complaint for you. I feel like you're getting frustrated with any chapters that don't have action. But this seems like you are not enjoying the story for what it is. My tip to you is to stop expecting big reveals and a twist every chapter, and simply enjoy the writing. J.K. brings you into another world so completely that, to many of us, it seems like it could somehow be real. I think Josh needs to really enjoy the details that J.K. gives us instead of waiting for something to come to completion right then and there, because eventually it will all fall together. So stop being on your toes and just love the world and the characters for what they are, and how they are as you come across them. I do understand how reading only 2 or 3 chapters at a time would frustrate me as well, something that I have never had the self-control to do, so maybe I can't complain. Even though I shared my complaint, I want to emphasize how much I do love and appreciate this show because it is one of kind and interesting. Matt, kudos to you for not letting things slip, because more than once I have yelled at the show as I'm listening, "Come on, Muggle!" No, but I've also yelled, "Oh my gosh, yes, Josh! How did you know that?" Thank you, Professor and Muggle, for the community and the endless hours of entertainment that you have given us all.
Yeah, I mean, she nailed it. It's I could 100% attest to like the fact of reading like 2 chapters a week is tough, because when it is weeks like last week or this week where there isn't a lot going on, like I have to stop at those 2 chapters and that's it. That's all I get. Like if I was reading this book like any other normal person, I'd be able to just keep reading, get to a point that's like, okay, this is cool, and like not dwell on the things that bored me.
Sure.
Whereas this podcast forces me to dwell on those things. I don't like the story less. Like I'm still absolutely 100% in love with this story. I am all in on where it's going. I'm nervous as heck about where it's going. But I don't dislike anything about it. I definitely think that the last book spoiled me on how books could and should start, you know? So I'm not expecting action and adventure around every corner or big twists or anything like that. Last book was a nice change of pace as far as the start of a book. And I'm adjusting to it being different this time. That's all.
All right.
Yeah. I'm still all in. I still enjoy everything. Look at all these stupid details that I'm picking out, you know? Pay rise, like that. That's a thing that I care about some stupid things about these stories. So, yeah, I get where she's coming from. So,
okay.
I just want everybody to know that I don't dislike the story at all in any way, shape, or form, other than the few things that I hate about it. That's it.
Fair enough. You'll have plenty of more opportunities to defend yourself, I think.
Okay.
She wrote in again, actually. It says she just listened to last week's episode, and I have to correct you on Texas being 95% flat desert. As a proud lifelong Texan, Texas has every kind of environment you can think of. Over in West Texas, where I come from, which is called West Texas, but is actually northwest from the middle of the Panhandle, is for the most part flat prairie land. I'm from Lubbock, where we have proudly accepted our title of the worst weather in the U.S. Apparently, it's something I can look up.
Sure.
We'll see. See, Lubbock is actually the #1 producer of cotton in the world. So thank a West Texas cotton farmer, y'all. And then you have North Texas, which is around Dallas area, which is where dreams go to either die or make it big. Next, we have East Texas, which is so incredibly green that you wouldn't believe you wouldn't believe it, but it meets up with Louisiana, so there's some of that culture thrown in as well. And then you have the coast, which has an amazing level of humidity, like 10,000%, and has some good beaches, but some dirty beaches once again. And this can be a different world than other parts of Texas. Lastly, we have the true West Texas, which is where I spent a good chunk of my life. And it's from about El Paso to Odessa, which have many, many beautiful mountain ranges. Just look up Big Bend National Park, and you've probably seen the most beautiful part of Texas. And then in Central Texas, which is the Austin area, they call Hill Country, which is pretty beautiful too. So, there you go. Apparently, I mean, I shouldn't be too surprised because Texas is so big, but
Sure.
Yeah.
So what I heard there was like 90% of Texas is flat.
We'll concede 5%.
Look, I've driven through Texas one time, and I remember being on a road for hours, and I'm pretty sure with a 100% correct alignment in your car, like you could drive without ever touching your steering wheel for hours because it was just that straight and flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, only in Texas.
You can do the same thing in Iowa too.
I've never been to Iowa.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Corn and colleges, that's all they have. All right. Next email comes in from Suzanne, who wanted to comment on last week. You asked if there was, I forget how you worded it exactly, if there was house elf like adoption agency or something like that.
Yeah.
You asked about, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
And she sent me these two pictures.
Okay.
That you can take a look at and let me know what you see.
Okay. I see signage.
That reads.
I'm getting there. House Elf Placement Agency. What? Is that at the Wizarding World?
This is down in Orlando.
House Elf Placement Agency. Domestic health. Endorsed.
So
Staff,
we won't get your hopes up too much.
Okay.
It's just a storefront. You can't actually go inside or anything.
Sure.
But
I mean, don't tell me what I can and can't do, man. I'll go inside if I want to.
I guess another reason for you to get down to Orlando, as if you needed one.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much my, number one reason at this point.
There you
that
go.
And dragging on top of the bank.
But yeah.
Now, is that canon? Like, is that actually pulled from the Wizarding World that JK has created, or? I mean, she would have had to sign off on that, right?
You would think so.
Okay.
It.
If there's something you can't say, don't say it.
Yeah, I
We'll come back to it.
we'll just let you mull on that for a while.
Okay. I'm just gonna go over to Pottermore real quick. And
Nope.
Check this. Oh, okay.
Should have Val set up like site blockers for you.
Matt, if I wanted to, I could have ruined this whole thing from day one.
I know.
I've got this far.
Next email comes in from Edgar.
Hi, Edgar.
Says, Dear Mogul and the Professor, after last week's email, I'll try to keep myself short for the sake of other people. Number one, what does Josh think of side-along apparition?
Sounds intense.
It does indeed.
Especially for somebody that's never apparated. Like, I feel like there should have been an instructional video or something to go ahead of it.
Well, like he could give him a little more warning, or like, well, you know, they've always kind of done that to Harry.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true.
The first time with the port key too. It's like, what are we doing? Touch the boot, Harry. Like, okay,
just jump in the flames.
What's that? Yeah, he's never done this before. Oh, okay, just speak clearly. There you go. You go first. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of gets tossed into things. It's weird. Number two, what does Josh think of old Sluggy? Or, sorry, Dumbledore. Professor Slughorn.
I mean, he's Slytherin, so I don't trust him. I have a weird mental image of him. And he seems intriguing. He can't be any worse than old Dumbridge was, so hopes are high.
All right.
Yeah.
And also, what's... it seems Harry's intentions to become an Auror have been destroyed. What will he do now?
I mean, first of all, he needs to survive. I feel like that's like top of his list of things that he should try to accomplish.
That's a good start.
Yeah. After that, like, if he ends up like defeating the Dark Lord, Voldemort, Voldy, I feel like he could probably do whatever he wants. You know? This is a weird thing, and I don't know.
We like weird.
Yeah. Where this is coming from. But have you ever seen Star Wars?
Is that a question?
Specifically episode 6 and 7.
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't even.
There's a character named Luke Skywalker. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yep. Okay, I'm pretty sure the majority of folks out there who haven't seen Star Wars, you know,
I
few
don't
and
want
far
to spoil
between.
anything, Matt.
But I'm pretty sure the vast majority know who Luke Skywalker is.
Okay. For those that may be sensitive to Star Wars spoilers from 30 plus years ago, fair warning.
Yes.
Okay, Luke Skywalker, notorious for taking down Darth Vader.
Sure.
Right? And the Emperor, essentially. Yeah. I feel, and then after that, we saw in episode 7, at the end of episode 7, he kind of just like went off to a mountain and just hung out. Like, he's just like away from everything, right?
Yeah.
He basically retired from being Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
I feel like Harry Potter could essentially do the same thing. Like, once he takes down Voldy, if he takes down Voldy, like, he could just ride off into the sunset and be like, I'm done. My work here is done. goodbye. I'm going to go live in a cave with Buckbeak and, just be a hermit the rest of my life. Come find me in 30 years when they want to reboot the series.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay.
Next email then comes from Kip,
Hi, Kip.
our friendly neighborhood chocolate maker.
All right. It's been a while, Kip.
Yeah. Says things are getting busy at the chocolate factory. We're officially entering the Dementor season, and demand is high. I really enjoyed this week's chapters. I'm so happy to see Dumbledore taking on a more fatherly role in Harry's life. After Josh's opinions on Rita Skeeter and the professor that shall not be named, I'm excited to see what he thinks of Professor Horace Slughorn. He seems to be very fond of Harry, which is a nice change from last year's DA teacher, Dumbridge.
Yeah, but he overly fond? That's where we start getting into weird territory.
Sure. Are you saying that's going to become a problem?
Might be. We've seen other people obsess over Harry Potter.
Such as?
Colin Creevey.
Okay.
The professor that shall not be named. He was trying to ride Harry Potter's coattails.
Sure, yeah.
He was obsessed in a different way. I just, he's the famous Harry Potter. It worries me, Matt.
Let's see, we continue. It's so nice to be back at the Burrow, but a sad talk sounds like an oxymoron. Something's just not right about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Molly Wobbles. Awkward or adorable?
Why wasn't that the name of the chapter, now that I think about it? That would have been the best chapter title ever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Molly Wobbles. I could see that. I mean, it would at least give you a hint at who they're actually talking about. That's for sure.
Maybe. I never would have guessed that, though.
But it's right. I mean, her name is it's Molly. That's the only Molly we know.
Matt, half the time I forget her name is Molly. Let's be real.
Okay. It's Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah.
From Harry's perspective. Yeah. And the owl results are in. All looks good for Harry, except the E in potions, which is bittersweet. No more Snape, but no more Auror. It's a rough life. Yeah. Thanks, and keep up the good work.
Thanks. Good luck on that chocolate making.
Yeah, we'll still have to get samples sometime, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's season,
Yeah.
It is a season, isn't
it? It is a season?
It is the season.
Wait, the season?
Yeah.
For what?
For chocolates.
How is this the season?
Fall, Christmas time, holiday season, chocolates.
If I was going to name a season for chocolate, I'd go more like Valentine's, even though I hate Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I feel like the chocolate season kicks off with Halloween and goes through Valentine's.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. We were just talking about Halloween and candy, so fine. I'll concede.
Okay.
All right. Next email from the other Katie.
Hello, other Katie.
So, dear Matt and Josh, sorry for writing a second time this week. I think we didn't read the first email. It says, not all Katies are Hufflepuffs. I'm a Ravenclaw.
Hey, how about that?
I'm super excited for this episode because it's the last episode recorded before I turn 11. Interesting.
Happy early birthday, other Katie.
Yes. So their birthday's on the 13th.
Come 11th birthday, other Katie might find out that she's actually a Hufflepuff.
She says, I already got my acceptance letter at Christmas last year.
But has the sorting hat done its work?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Josh, a few questions for you. May have answered some of these already. How do you feel about Slughorn? I think we kind of covered that, unless you have something to add.
Nope.
What lessons is Dumbledore talking about?
Ooh. He was very mysterious with that. We know it's not occlumency. Well, we assume it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to teach Harry how to apparate. That'd be cool.
That would
I know
be cool.
he's not allowed to until he's 17.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Dumbledore is kind of a rule breaker, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Might have something to do with Fox, maybe?
We do like Fox.
Yeah. Dumbledore also is pretty fond of the pensieve, which I don't know if that takes lessons or not, but maybe, you know?
Well, does Harry know how to pull a memory out of his head?
Probably not. That's
Not
something
that
you
we've
probably have
seen.
to learn, so...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something you learn in school, so maybe that's why it would be private lessons, because it's something that he couldn't get from another teacher.
Sure.
I'm just trying to think of everything that we know Dumbledore's capable of, which is a lot. Yeah, those are my first guesses.
All right. I like it. Is Hermione going to get rid of her black eye?
I mean, eventually, you know, she didn't stay a cat forever.
It's true. It's true. But, I mean, Mrs. Weasley having trouble with it.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
was
she's no
surprising
Madame
part.
Pomfrey.
She's had to deal with her fair share of Weasley problems. you know you've seen the trouble that friend George caused at school.
Yeah.
Just think of what they caused at home.
But they're also really good at, like, remedies, too.
If they want to be. But, I mean, if they did something to Ron, do you think they're really going to care?
Yeah.
They just let Mrs. Weasley take care of it.
No, they care. They love their siblings. Except Percy.
Yeah. And how will Harry feel about not becoming an Auror?
He'll live. You know, like even Harry pointed out, like, a fake professor is the one that kind of put that idea in his head in the first place, and it's just kind of stuck with him because it seemed like it made sense.
Yeah, it was the first, like, advice he had gotten.
Yeah.
It's like, never thought about a career up until that point.
It's not like he spent his entire life thinking, you know what, I'm going to be an Auror when I grow up. No.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be perfectly happy playing on a Quidditch professional team, you know?
Sure.
So, Harry's fine. He'll be good.
Yeah, you don't need potions for that.
Yeah.
All right. Next email from Alex.
Hello.
Or the other Alex?
New Alex? Hello, new Alex.
She says, Dear Josh and Matt, I've been listening for a while, and I'm so excited that I finally caught up. Josh, you're not alone in your opinion of the opening chapters. Book 6 might be my favorite, but I consistently forget that the first chapter even exists. Which is weird because I always remember it exists, because it stands out so much from the rest. Anyway, it's also the first book for which I actually remember my theories. So I'm curious to see what Josh comes up with going forward. These chapters didn't bode well for your Snape theory. No Newt potions, no occlumency, and Professor Slughorn's joining the staff. Yeah, that is rough for your Snape theories.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still a lot of book to cover, but
yeah,
I think I got overly excited with the whole Snape chapter to begin the book. It kind of just threw me off. So
you had Snape on the brain.
Yeah.
Although you made those theories before you read.
Oh yeah, I'm saying like I felt good about my theories after the first reading.
Okay,
because we had a whole chapter to Snape. I'm like, oh,
sure,
this is
you
gonna
felt
be
good
great.
about them last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
okay, gotcha.
Tanked.
Let's see. You guys mentioned on the movie episode and in episode 70 that you haven't seen Imelda Staunton, Umbridge, in any other roles. Have either of you seen Sense and Sensibility with Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson? I just rewatched it the other night and realized that Staunton played Charlotte Palmer opposite Hugh Laurie as Mr. Palmer. They are hilarious together, but I'm pretty sure I hated her character a lot more than I was supposed to.
I feel like I've seen that movie, but I can't picture it in my head, so it sounds familiar at least.
Yeah, I definitely have not.
Yeah.
As much as people might yell at me for it, I always stayed away from, the Jane Austen type stuff.
Sure.
So, I have not seen, Sensibility or Emma or all those other growing up considered girly books,
right?
That I would never read because they were very much the character driven style that I never got into. So.
And
I'm
now
not saying
you're
there's
such a big
anything
fan
wrong.
of rom-coms, Matt. Like, I just don't understand why you don't go back. And...
Now, where are you getting that information?
I've seen your Netflix history.
No, you haven't. You lie.
But if I could.
Friends don't lie. Anyways, I love the podcast. Keep up the amazing work.
Thanks. New Alex.
Yes.
My new favorite Alex.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding.
that be fighting words.
I'm kidding. I'm just trying to get Alex beef.
Next email from Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Says, Dear Matt, Josh, I was sorry to hear that the Muggle didn't much enjoy the first 3 chapters of Half-Blood Prince, although at least many of the listeners did, and it was nice to get such contrasting reactions. Expectations play a large part in how much we enjoy experiences. So if Josh wasn't super enthusiastic about or feeling ready to dive into another Harry Potter story yet, and if he was expecting a big action scene, these factors may have set him up to be disappointed. Also, there isn't much opportunity to hear Val's fun voices in passages of exposition and world building, like the descriptions, the newspaper articles, and the internal monologues.
Yeah.
I can see that too, yeah.
Also, speaking of Val voices, I totally forgot that she does a wonderful Fleur Delacour voice. Yeah.
Did she go all French on you?
She tries. I mean, not having any sort of like a French language background.
Sure. I mean, just the way she's written.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just read it as written, you kind of almost have to sound kind of French.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On to this week's reading. I love the magic in the Horace Slughorn chapter. When he and Professor Dumbledore put the ruined house to rights, with the walls being cleaned and the furniture repaired and the oil lanterns relit, Professor Slughorn's character is sketched vividly and quickly. I so admire J.K.'s skill with creating unique characters. How exciting that Dumbledore will be giving Harry some private lessons. We can never have too much Professor D. In Chapter 5, the eye rolls of Ginny, Hermione, and Molly at Fleur's effect on the males neatly mirror what we saw in Book 2. What we saw in Book 2 when the female characters went silly over Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah.
And Josh, I won't apologize for using Lockhart's name for 2 reasons. First, because Gilderoy Lockhart is the perfect name for his personality.
Okay, but why do we have to use his full name?
And second, because he is one of my all-time favorite love-to-hate-him characters.
Okay.
It flows. Gilderoy Lockhart.
No, the professor that shall not be named.
Gilderoy Lockhart. So much simpler.
Never.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yes, thank you indeed.
And on to our winner from this week, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Says, hey guys, firstly, no fug in my vocabulary. So there you go. New Zealand doesn't use fug. I do know the word outside of Harry Potter, but I've never used it, and I hope it doesn't catch on in this community like Fortnite has. This strange word that doesn't really feel right.
No.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad mouthfeel word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last week's episode, full of so many great emails. Thanks to Mel B for your timely and well-worded reminder to us all. Love the Hacksaw Duggan reference from Brent. My brother and I grew up with those shows. My mother drew the line at us practicing on each other, so I had to settle for piling the cushions on the floor and jumping off the couch onto them to practice our slamming moves.
Been there, done that. Sometimes it's the only way.
Yes.
And then when mom leaves, then it's, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it's true. I've had those moments with my brother.
You're going to the store, Mom? You'll be back for how long?
Uh-huh. Yep. When are you coming back? All right. Sounds good.
Bones could we almost break before then?
Yes. All right, car's out of the driveway. Let's go.
You always had to wait a couple minutes just in case your parents, forgot something.
Yeah. Forgot my purse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't understand Alex needing to stay up incredibly late at night to watch a domestic baseball game. You can't call a competition a World Series when you only play your own country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have stopped either laughing or shout at me.
Okay, here's the thing. I was going to let it go, but I have to speak up on this. There is a such thing called a World Baseball Classic that they play. Because baseball is not an Olympic sport. So they play this World Baseball Classic where teams are made up of players based on their nationality, where they're from. They play each other. America never wins because we suck. But here's the thing. The MLB, Major League Baseball, is North American. We do have a Canadian baseball team. They play in Toronto.
True.
All the other teams play in the States. That is correct. So all the teams are located in the United States, North America.
Sure.
However, the makeup of each team features players from all over the world. The best players in baseball all play in the major leagues, right? There may be one or two fantastic Japanese baseball players that haven't come over and started playing baseball yet. There may be some Dominican or Cuban baseball players that haven't made the jump up to the MLB quite yet. I would say at least 98% of the world's best baseball players play in the MLB. So while all the teams and their home stadiums may be located in North America, the actual players are comprised of players from all over the world. Every country, nationality is depicted and is given an opportunity to play side by side with each other. So the World Series, while in the early 1900s may have been so inaccurate it just makes your head spin, in 2017, I would like to feel that the World Series does mean something because of the diversity that is represented within every team.
All right.
There's my pitch for why the World Series is still an accurate term. More accurate today than it ever has been.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, Kim.
On to this week's chapters. Maybe what you would call fluff chapters. I saw them as our trio reunion chapters, where we go on a long trip back to the Burrow. I like the time we have with Harry and Dumbledore, and I'm pleased he had his little heart-to-heart in the shed, and J.K. manages to throw in some spiders just for fun.
She hates me.
Not a lot to say, except I don't remember Fleur coming across as so annoying in Book 4. And I wonder if Ron ever let on to Bill that he asked his future wife out at the Yule Ball. That would have been an awkward conversation. The Burrow will be different with no Fred and George there, but I'm sure Mrs. Weasley is enjoying a bit less chaos.
So she thought Fleur was annoying more annoying in this chapter than she was in book 4? Because I find it completely opposite. Like, I tolerate her.
You could read it one of two ways. Perhaps she still doesn't find her annoying. It's just that the characters she's interacting with, like the females in the house, seem to think she's annoying.
Yeah.
That like they're complaining about her a lot more. Or it could be that she does think she's more annoying in this book, but I don't.
Okay.
I would go for the former, but
that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Next email comes from Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
It says, hello, Josh and Matt. So I believe I understand why us super fans enjoyed chapters 1 through 3 more than you did, Josh. When we read this story over and over again, it is because we can't help but love this world and want to dive in. But for a first-time reader, you care about the world not as much as a character of Harry Potter. So when there's something happening that doesn't specifically correlate, you aren't as interested, which is understandable. I believe way back in book 1, Atari Alex mentioned he didn't like Harry as a protagonist. I don't think anyone asked him why he cared to read the story over and over, but I think it's the same reason I have. I absolutely wish I was a part of this world, and it has such depth that I love getting lost in by reading or watching the story. This is why those first few chapters were so amazing and full of energy to me.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now for these chapters. Another new word that I had to look up was pate. P-A-T-E.
Okay.
Did you catch that one?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, she did look it up, of course, and says it basically just means head. It was used when describing Slughorn.
Okay.
And she just had, like, I remember it. I don't remember the exact sentence, but yeah, she described his pate for use some descriptive term about it.
Okay.
It's just J.K. being J.K. and trying to be a fancy writer.
Sure.
Not use normal words. Says, I enjoy reading the Harry Dumbledore banter. It gives us more depth into Dumbledore's character, which up until now has been kind of kept at a distance. I'm excited at the prospect of the one-on-one mentoring that's going to happen. Muggle theory question. What is Dumbledore going to teach Harry?
All kinds of fun things. Hopefully.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Next email from Anya.
Hi, Anya.
It says, it's been a long time since I wrote to you last. That's true. Last time I wrote was the last day of July, and somehow it's already November.
It's far too long, Anya.
Yeah. I've had a rough fall with Dementors visiting me way too much, but I'm better. I use my Patronus charm, and for the most part, the Dementors are gone. Good. Anyway, I love this book so much, I just had to write you guys. I have often been listening to you, even though I haven't been writing in. As many others last week, I love the first chapter. I love Val, and I'm starting to believe that maybe this is my favorite book, although it was the first one. I always thought it was the first one, but I think I changed my mind. There we go. I really like Slughorn. He's so odd and funny. But what's up with Dumbledore's hand? What is he hiding? Yeah, I guess he didn't really mention his hand this week. You mentioned his ring.
Yeah, I still attribute his hand to like his war with Voldy, except he did say that it deserving of a story that he wanted to spend more time telling. So
very true.
I don't know. I guess I didn't really put much thought to that.
Well, we're back at the Burrow. I'm loving it. Seeing Ron, Hermione, and everybody again. Even Bill and Fleur, which I love seeing more of. But Harry can no longer be an Auror. So what do you think he'll do when he's done with school? I think you've already answered that. Trying to keep this short, so I'll write more next time.
Cool. Also, Anya, what is your Patronus?
It's a good question.
Just let us know. Write in. Drop us a line. Tell us what your Patronus is. I'm curious.
Next email then from the other Katie.
Hello, other Katie.
This is aloha, Matt and Josh. I had a lot of thoughts after listening to last week's episode, but I'll try to keep them short. I know it can be hard to read and love the slower, more conversational chapters, but there's some of my favorite chapters in any of the books. Perhaps on your next read through, there'll be less of a drag since you can read at any pace. I halfway agree with Matt about the point of view from the beginning of book 4. It ends up being Harry's dream, but in the dream, it's seen from Frank's point of view. She has a good point there.
Yep.
When I was discussing with Brent in particular, like I just went to how does it, like, big picture, where did it end up? Oh, it's Harry's dream. But I didn't go back and think, like, how was it written?
Right.
Like, we've seen different things that, when like Harry was the snake, that was written from Harry's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But that first chapter was, like, written from Frank's point of view, and Harry wasn't possessing Frank.
Right.
So you can't really say it was from Harry's point of view.
Sure.
Yeah. So, very, very, very good point. I could probably we're conceding a lot of things tonight, so I'll concede that one too.
Yeah.
And something else we called or asked about, Bellatrix is actually the older sister of Narcissa. Or actually the oldest, I think she says here. Yeah. Bellatrix is the oldest sister and Narcissa is the youngest.
Okay.
Which is reverse of what we thought. But
sure.
She says, my guess is that Bellatrix calls Narcissa Sissy because she grew up taking care of her younger sister, and that was Narcissa's nickname.
Yep. That also works.
Yeah. Works either way.
Yep.
Now on this week's chapters. Chapter 4. Harry and Dumbledore are off on an adventure. Does permission to use underage magic from Dumbledore imply that he is greater than wizarding law?
I don't think Dumbledore cares too much about wizarding law. Especially when it comes to Harry Potter.
Well, you see, like, more often than not, we see it in common sense situations.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's even kind of how our laws are built here in the U.S. Like, you're not supposed to go shoot someone with a gun.
Right.
But if you do it in self-defense, there's like it's a little more allowable, a little more accepted.
We have a drinking age of 21, but, I've known some parents in my life that, are more than okay with, their 17, 18-year-old kid having a drink. As long as they're at the house, they're not driving, they're not putting themselves in harm's way or anybody else. I
mean, even more specifically, I don't think this is a national law. I think this is a state law in Wisconsin. If, like, you're at a restaurant with your parents, you can have a drink underage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is definitely a state law.
Yeah, if your parents allow it.
Sure.
They might have to technically order it, but they can serve you.
Right. Huh. That's fascinating. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it, Common sense. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Does Harry need his wand out for side-along apparition?
I would say no. He's just tagging along.
I would say no as well. I think she's asking because Dumbledore tells him to keep his wand out. But I think that's just in case something would happen. He wants him to be ready.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with the apparition.
I feel like he's just grooming Harry to be ready at all times. You know, like he also like points out like always have your invisibility cloak on you. You know, like
even though he is not specific, like he hasn't told him like, Harry, this is your first lesson. I think that's essentially what it is. He's giving him practical applications.
Yeah.
He's teaching him what he needs to know. It's like, if you follow these rules, you will be good. I'm not telling you they're rules, because you know what people do with rules. They don't like to follow them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, when it's, I mean, essentially in some cases like this, like, yeah, sure, you can do underage magic. That's breaking the rules. It's like, okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's just more than anything, like I said, it's Dumbledore starting to teach him already, whether Harry realizes it or not.
Yeah.
Let's see. It turns out that the adventure that they're going on is to find a new professor for Hogwarts. True. It also turns out that Harry has no idea about some things in the wizarding world. He really needs to brush up on his manners.
It's a valid question. I mean, I guess he's seen people just apparate, you know, coming and going, whether they're at like the HQ or apparating at the Weasley house. Like, it's something that he's seen and hasn't put any thought of. And he doesn't know how close Dumbledore and this guy that they're going to go talk to is, and what relationship they may have, or, you know. Yeah.
It's true. Harry has so many questions, and I love how free Dumbledore is with his answers. Of course, Dumbledore kept back the one answer we really wanted. What did he do to his hand?
Man, I totally just downplayed that whole thing.
You did.
Yeah.
But people want to know. And I mean, like, you obviously did catch that Dumbledore mentioned it's a story for another time, so.
Yeah, but like I was like racking my head, like trying to I'm like, Harry was there. He saw the whole thing. Dumbledore told him to stand back while he handled it, you know? I saw the movie take place.
Yeah, you assumed that.
So then, like, yeah, I did.
I may have let you assume that last week.
Yeah. That's true. So, I don't know. I guess I didn't put any more thought into that because we were about to meet somebody new and I wanted more information about this Slughorn character, so.
Speaking of Slughorn, I love how Slughorn is described. It paints such a good picture of him. And if he dislikes Umbridge, he can't be too bad, right?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Slughorn does seem like one of those people who says things with good intentions, but doesn't realize what he says sometimes. So not great.
Yeah.
The good news is that we end up at the Burrow, and Harry is actually allowed to tell Ron and Hermione everything. I would say not only allowed, but encouraged to tell them everything. Yeah, which is, vastly different from what we've seen in other books, whether it be Harry having to keep secrets from people or Ron or Hermione have to keep secrets from Harry. Like, it's always been secrets, and now Dumbledore's like, no, you should tell them. They deserve it.
Yeah.
But didn't he even use the phrase, like, you would be doing them a disservice?
Right, by not telling, yeah. Yep, I appreciate that.
I feel like Dumbledore is the only person that can get away with calling Tonks by her real name.
When he said that, I was like holding my breath. I'm like, oh, is she going to correct him? Is she going to like freak out? And part of me, like now looking back at it, thinks that maybe he did that just to see what her mood was. You know, how she was feeling, you know?
Yeah.
That's a Dumbledore thing to do.
But at the same time, do you even think Tonks at her best would correct Dumbledore?
No. But I also think Dumbledore would respect somebody that he liked and worked with and was friendly with, would respect their wishes of what they wanted to be called. You know, like, if she is insistent on being called Tonks to everybody else, I feel like Dumbledore would respect that and be like, you know what? Sure, I'll call you Tonks too. Like, he's not going to say... Dumbledore isn't the type to think that he's better than anyone else to where he could call them whatever he wants to call them because he's Dumbledore.
Yeah.
That's not the Dumbledore that I know. So I kind of feel like that's his way of testing her specifically as to what kind of mood she's in. Maybe he knows that she's been down. I mean, they're all in the order together, you know, like, this isn't the first time that he's had a conversation with her in several weeks or anything like that, I could assume. So he probably knows that she's down, that she's not feeling too good, and he's like, she back to normal yet? Let me throw this one out and see what happens. And, you know, she just rolled with it, and he's like, okay, cool, I know where we're at.
Okay.
That's a Dumbledore that I know.
Yeah. Why is Hermione allowed to spend all of her holidays with the Weasleys? I like her inclusion, but don't her parents want to see her during the summer?
Yeah. They just want her to be happy and with her friends. Like, honestly, what, as muggles, are they going to do with her that will even remotely keep her interested? She left the skiing trip because she was bored. You know?
Yeah.
I think they just understand, and they're just like, look, she's way better than us. Just let her go, you know, grow up, and sure, I'm sure they miss her, but I mean, she has a good relationship with them. She goes back and sees them during, you know, like, it's not like they're just kicking her out or she's avoiding them or anything like that. Like, she has a open door policy with them.
Sure.
And it works. I think it works for them.
All right.
They absolutely know that they can't provide her the environment that she so badly craves.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm always so happy when I'm reminded of Mr. Weasley, that Mr. Weasley has been promoted. He certainly deserves it. Every time someone answers one of those personal questions to convince someone of their identity, like Molly with Molly Wobbles, I wonder how easy it would be to find out that kind of information about someone and then impersonate them. Voldemort did that when he put Crouch Jr. in charge of being fake Moody, and it seems like it's something he would try again. I think you've discussed that, yes. Yeah. I'm sure I'll say this again before the series ends, but Ron is so shallow and still has zero tact. You'd think being Hermione's friend would help him with his tact a little bit.
No, not yet.
No. The Owls results are my favorite part of this chapter. The trio, despite all the scary stuff they deal with, are still just 15 and 16-year-old kids who are worried that they didn't do well enough in school. I remember that feeling 10-ish years ago. I do have a question about the Owl results, though. Why are different teachers at Hogwarts allowed to decide what grade they'll allow the students into their Newt level courses? Shouldn't it be the same for all classes? For example, an exceeds expectations in any subject would allow you into the Newt course. Because Snape setting it to only allow outstanding students seems unfair. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a unique setting.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, this is just how it's done at Hogwarts as well. Because we get a brief mention from Fleur that the exams are different at her school.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was saying, they don't take the exams in 5th year. They wait until the 6th year.
Right.
So it's school by school basis too.
Yeah.
So I couldn't say offhand if it was the original founders that put these measures in place, or if it's something that came since then, but someone seems to think it works.
Yeah, definitely. Who are we to sit here and say that it's a broken system, you know?
Oh, next email from one of our headmistresses, Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Says, hey guys, to elaborate on my one-word comment on the Muggle theories. Wow. As in, Josh has a knack for some scarily accurate theories and others that are so flat out wrong that I feel sorry for him.
That's fair.
There you go. That's your explanation of wow.
Sure. Okay, I take that.
And I did enjoy the wrestling reference last week. If it isn't too much trouble, I would love to hear Josh do his best Ric Flair woo.
Woo!
Incidentally, it is used as a sounder at that minor league baseball team my family goes to see.
Yeah.
And I feel as though I once Dumbledore referred to. I once saw Dumbledore referred to as Dumbles in a cartoon of some sort. But it is easier to type, especially when I'm on my phone.
Fair. I like it.
Yeah. Now on to this week's chapters. I love the interaction between Dumbles and Harry. I read these books on my Kindle, and this chapter has more highlighted quotes than any other in this series. I find Dumbles so fun. What does Josh think of Slughorn? Is he going to have a hard time hearing this guy's name since it has slug in it? His dislike of slugs is well documented. Would you like to?
Yeah, a little disturbing. Not gonna lie. Man, JK has a thing with slugs, doesn't she?
It does seem to come up quite often.
Way too much for my liking. Again, I'm okay with slugs. I'm just not okay with slugs coming out of people. That's my issue with slugs.
All right.
Slugs should not enter or exit a human being.
All right. So as long as he stays Professor Slughorn and not Professor Horn.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What's up with Tonks?
She's sad.
Yeah. And Fleur's back. She's going to be part of the Weasley clan in just a year's time. I'm not a fan of how the girls and Mrs. Weasley talk about her. I feel like she's being judged harshly without any real evidence to the reader to support their criticism. Ron and Hermione are the best of friends the Chosen One could have. He is able to tell them things, and they, for the most part, are able to keep themselves in check with regards to showing their worry. It's got to be tough, and they do a great job. I'm sure Josh didn't really care about the trio getting their test results. I'm pretty sure I'd react the exact same way as Hermione, though. We had to take tests in order to graduate in our sophomore years, so you could retake them if you failed. And I remember being nervous waiting for the results, even though I found the test easy. Of course, I passed with top marks. I'm Ravenclaw, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then please see the attached. So this is a little dialogue titled Harry Potter and How the Scene Should Have Gone.
Okay.
So this is go back and picture our first class with Umbridge. Okay?
Okay. Awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Potter, do you expect to be attacked in my class? Yes. What? Well, I mean, I'm running 4 for 4. Mr. Potter. Quirrell tried to choke me out. Mr. Potter. Lockhart tried to wipe my memory. Mr. Potter. Of course. Professor Lupin didn't mean to. He just forgot his potion, but still went totally werewolf on me. Mr. Potter. And then Moody? He turned out to be an escaped Death Eater in disguise. Potter. So yeah, I figure it's 100% you'll attack me in June. 50-50 chance you'll try to kill me, with a 25% chance of an unforgivable curse. Harry turns to Hermione. To get the math right? Yes.
I feel like the only thing wrong with that is Hermione would have spoken up and said that the math was correct before Harry even asked her.
I can see that.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I like it.
Yeah.
Next email then comes from Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
He says, "Hi, Matt and Josh. I'll keep this relatively short, especially since it's been long these last few weeks and these great chapters and episodes. But after the last week's episode, which I've literally been looking forward to for months, I do want to say at the start, Josh, you are perilously close to getting that howler I warned you about at the end of Order of the Phoenix. Just people talking to each other, no action, barely Harry Potter at all. That is how you describe the opening of the Half-Blood Prince? I think you need to reread the chapters again and enjoy them for what they are. Among the most unique and interesting in the series, with lots of mysteries and suspense, character and world building, all wrapped up together. They help make the series so rich. And you need to be prepared for more people just talking to each other, in addition to the fact that this is a common occurrence among human beings on the planet Earth. And it's crucial to how J.K. unfolds the tale from here all the way to the end. Finally, these are novels, not comic books. This is about story and character development, and seeing the world beyond just Harry's eyes advance both of those qualities better than we've seen before. Well, I guess that sort of turned into a howler after all. I just want to say something about Chapter 4. I include this in my... I include this in my "this is the best opening to any Harry Potter book" as part of the opening chapters. I think it's one of the most interesting, funny, and witty ways she has introduced any new character in the series. Introducing a new teacher in the form of an oversized stuffed chair has got to be a first. And once again, we're left unsure of what to think about a new character. Other than that, we have a vivid picture of what he looks like and how he thinks in just one chapter. I was immediately intrigued by this character, especially since we'd at least get to see another Slytherin in addition to the awful Malfoy, Snape, and other unsavories we've grown used to. Looking forward to hearing people's thoughts on him throughout the book. Yes, even Josh's thoughts too. Finally, we are getting loads of Dumbledore. Already it seems as though we have spent more time with him than we did in the first 4 to 5 chapters than we did in the entirety of Order of the Phoenix, which is
the entirety of the series,
which is a big improvement.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Nothing to complain about.
Nope. I'm sorry, I hated the beginning of the book, Jeff.
Next email then comes from Brent.
Hi, Brent.
Says, "Dear Matt and the Muggle. Well, I must say, last week's episode of Tales from Godric's Hollow was a bit of a shock for me. As so many of our community chimes in, including me, touted that this is our favorite book, and for some, these are the favorite, some of the better chapters. You have to wonder what's going on with the Muggle, that he didn't connect with it. So allow me to look directly into the camera and call timeout. Did we just overhype Book 6 like people overhyped My Beloved Buccaneers this year? If that's the case, Muggle, this book sucks. It's horrible. It's a waste of ink and paper. It's just filler until Book 7. Or is it simply just a case of different strokes for different folks? If so, that's totally valid, even if a little weird, but hey, we're all weird in our own way.
Sure, also, hold on. I haven't judged the whole book yet. I judged the first 5 chapters now. So the book could still be absolutely fabulous. I'm not thinking that it's going to be a bust.
But people are in love with these chapters and you're not, and that's what's throwing them off.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody knew. I don't think I knew anybody loved these chapters until last week when you're reading emails about everybody loving those chapters.
Well, because they didn't want to give you ideas.
I know, that's what I'm saying, though. I don't think it was an issue of overhyping those specific chapters. Because I didn't
Well,
go
not
in
specific
thinking...
chapters, but you know going into it that everybody's like, this is my favorite book.
Yeah.
And so you were expecting great things right off the bat.
No, I was expecting great things out of the bat because of book 5.
Okay. It says, sure, these aren't the most exciting action-packed chapters in all of Harry Potter, or even this book for that matter. At the same time, they are far from the humdrum droning on of the world-building chapters in the last book. I never really thought about why I love these chapters so much before now, but part of the beauty of Tales from Godric's Hollow is that we get to re-examine so much of the Wizarding world from a new perspective. What I realize is that the reason I love these chapters so much is because they are character building. They show us things that we have only ever wondered about or possibly dreamed of before in the past. What is the relationship of magical government and the Muggle government? Do teachers have homes and a life outside of Hogwarts? Do our villains have the capacity for love? How awesome is Dumbledore? What would happen if Dumbledore went one-on-one with the Dursleys? And now, even in these 2 new chapters, what is the process like for Dumbledore to have to keep recruiting new professors? How good does it feel just to be back home with the Weasleys? How are Mr. and Mrs. Weasley taking Fred and George's new business venture? I know these last few chapters have been a lot of talking, but honestly, I'm just glad to be able to see more of the day-to-day outside... Honestly, I'm just glad to be able to see more into the day-to-day outside of Hogwarts life. Josh, I hope you really get back to a place where you can sit back and have some fun again with these books and these characters. It's okay to let your guard down and embrace these guys. Because there really are some fun times ahead, even if it's just a lot of being together.
Sure.
Your friend with most noble intentions.
Yeah. I'm trying to take him in stride. Do my best. That's all I can do.
All right. Ooh. Another picture I forgot about. We'll get that one prepped. Next email comes from our other headmistress.
Melby.
Got it.
What's up, Melby?
Melby says, you guys don't know what a capsicum is? Then again, I only realized that this year bell peppers are capsicums. I've been searching the stores for a long time for bell peppers that I keep finding mentioned in recipes. Unable to locate them until I did some Googling. Americans are weird. Just use English words.
Nope. We left the English colonies for a reason.
I don't think it was because of bell peppers.
No, so we could call whatever we want, Matt.
Okay. She clarifies as well, Bellatrix is older than Narcissa. Just saying I don't think it's particularly important, but the order is Andromeda, Sirius's favorite cousin, and Tonks's mom, as we were told in Book 5, and Bellatrix and Narcissa.
Andromeda?
I'm a Black family expert. Yes, you are. Yes, Andromeda.
Color me intrigued, Matt.
I think loads of Death Eaters are married to ensure that the continuance of pure bloodlines, it's their duty to procreate. I think we may have mentioned that last week as well.
Sure.
And on to this week. And my heart is torn from my chest once again, as Sirius is brought up. Just like Harry's. And my phone did it again. One mention of Sirius, and Siri goes crazy.
You need to turn Siri off.
I don't know. Yeah. Sirius is brought up. Just like Harry's, some fans of the book, usually the ones who dislike Sirius, complain about how we linger on his death. Trying not to be biased here, but I think these people are stupid. Harry has just lost his godfather, a man he saw as his family, his closest connection to his parents. I can't imagine how traumatized and lost Harry feels without him. Dumbledore has it right that Harry spent far too little time with Sirius.
Yeah.
Personally, I never thought that they spent too much time with Sirius. I always thought that they spent too much time with Cedric. Especially I made the comment about it last book, with Cho and Cedric.
Right.
I thought that was excessive. I think they spent much more time covering that than we've done covering Sirius. At least that's the way it felt to me.
Sure.
So I don't have a problem with it. I can't wait to hear what Josh thinks about Slughorn. I'm sure that because he is a Slytherin, Josh has decided he dislikes him automatically. Personally, I think at this point he should be perceived as an interesting character. A man who seeks to be the power behind the throne. A man who is acknowledged for the success of others. From what we learn, he is a collector of those who he thinks will succeed, so he can ride on their coattails in a way. Fleur is back. I think Josh predicted we would be seeing her and Victor again, but I might be wrong. I feel really sorry for her. The Weasleys are being rather cruel and rude. They're not respecting the choices Bill is making. From personal experience, I know that it can be hard introducing a partner to your family, and I've had a fair few flop at that test. My dad is very protective, and I'm pretty sure nothing less than a wealthy heir to a grand family fortune who is simultaneously making his own way in life will do. That could be tough to find, yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Ron, I'm pretty sure it was Ron, says Mrs. Weasley has been inviting Tonks over in the hopes that she and Bill will hit it off, and he will date her instead. It's so crazy to think that a parent would be trying to do that. I have drawn a picture of Slughorn for Josh. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I have been unable to color it in for you. But this is very much the mental image I had when I originally read the book. Mm. It looks nothing like the movie, and these days not exactly what I imagine him to look like. So we will give you a glimpse into the mind of Mel B as she pictures Slughorn the first time through.
Have you seen Alice in Wonderland, the animated movie from Disney?
Like the old, 50s, 60s version?
Yeah. You remember the little cartoon story in the middle of it, the Carpenter and the Walrus?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Walrus and the Carpenter?
Yeah.
The Walrus, wasn't Slughorn, described as, looking like a walrus, essentially?
Yeah.
That's also in my mind now of, how I think of him.
Yeah, because that's the one description he gave Ron and Hermione. It was well, yeah, what do you look like? I'm kind of like walrus.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
But yeah, so there's Mel B's interpretation, which I will, of course, include in the show notes.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Next email coming in from Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
For my email this week, I just have one question I wanted to ask Josh. In general, do you prefer to consume print media or film? What I mean is, would you rather watch a movie or read a book for enjoyment?
At this stage of my life, movie. 100%. I've always had this problem. My attention span for books has always been difficult to really just dive in and get into a book. Younger, I felt like I had more time. I was less anxious about adult responsibilities and that kind of stuff to where, sure, I could easily get lost in a book. But yeah, I think I enjoy film much better nowadays.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
She says, the reason I ask is my husband really enjoys movies but gets bored with books pretty easily. On the other hand, I really enjoy reading and taking time to get to know the details of the world, the story, and the characters. So I wonder if something like that could explain why the same chapters you thought were incredibly boring were the chapters that so many of us love.
It's possible.
Could have something to do with it. I can see that.
Yeah. But I've liked other boring chapters, you know? There's been other chapters where I've really liked or like been able to pick out things that I enjoyed from them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like looking back still, like that first chapter just, it doesn't fit at all with anything. Like it's so ridiculous.
She's trying to change it up again, and you just didn't go for it.
It's book 6. We can't change it up now. We're pedal to the metal to the finish line here, JK.
All right.
Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is perfect.
Next email comes from Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. See, here's the problem, Matt. People try to reinvent the wheel, and we end up with like these hoverboard things that just catch on fire and burn and cost way too much money, and ultimately people just go back to being on wheels. Just normal wheels. You know?
Well, isn't this... She reinvented the wheel for book 5, and now she went back to the original, and now you're yelling at her.
No.
You wanted more of book 5. You wanted more hoverboard.
Maybe so. Maybe I like the fire. I like the chaos, Matt.
Yep.
Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn, Matt. Or their feet when they're standing on hoverboards. Hi, Hannah.
More excellent chapters this week. How just deliciously delightful. I love this book. Horace Slughorn promises to be a fascinating new professor. He seems like he could bring lots of entertainment, a good dose of questionable ethics, and still be an okay guy in the end. He actually seems to have some magical talent, and he called Umbridge an idiot. So I have hope that he's a decent guy, but also for lots of entertaining and ridiculous moments for him. We shall see, though. I've never been hurt before. Moody. I questioned Dumbledore's choices a bit in Chapter 4. He seems so comfortable with Harry, with using Harry in whatever way will best serve him, or Hogwarts, or the cause. I respect Dumbledore in his difficult position of trying to organize and fortify a resistance movement, and therefore respect that his focus is directed more towards the big picture than at how he's treating important players like Harry. However, this use of Harry struck me more than ever this time. He is totally comfortable bringing Harry to see Slughorn, using Harry's fame and past, and manipulating a situation by dangling Harry in front of Slughorn like a piece of bait. It kind of made me squirm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you might as well at this point, right?
Yeah.
He's the famous Harry Potter, the infamous Harry Potter.
I think the worst part of it is that he didn't tell Harry at all.
Yeah,
like,
but if he did,
he didn't tell him. And Harry probably wouldn't have done it, but
or he would have tried and been awkward and been obvious about it. Like he just allowed Harry to be Harry, you know.
Well, and that's how we got him to come along in the first place.
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey, if you're okay with it, want to go on a little side trip here?"
Right.
It's like he didn't mention, "Oh, this is super important. I need you to come along to help me get this professor."
Sure.
Like he didn't say any of that. It's like, if you're okay, it's gonna be your decision.
Yeah.
But that's Dumbledore being manipulative. There we go. So it's all in how you look at it, I guess.
Definitely.
The moment in the broom shed is incredibly touching. Harry's fierce determination to carry on for Sirius, and Dumbledore saying that Sirius would be proud of him, always makes me tear up. And Harry again processing how painful it is to realize that he will never receive a letter, that he lost the closest person to him outside of Hogwarts. Almost like a parent. Hurts to read. I really appreciate that Joe doesn't pretend that Harry is okay at the start of this book, but actually writes how Harry is still in grief and in pain, as anyone who just lost a loved one would be.
Yeah. Maybe
Fleur is back.
Maybe that's what I have a problem with, Matt.
Good. Yeah.
Is we took almost 4 chapters to even, like, really deal with the fact that Sirius died.
It's true.
You know? Like, the first 2 chapters were just like, whatever. No big deal. Nothing bad happened.
First 2 chapters didn't have Harry in them.
That's my problem.
We didn't have it. Your biggest problem is we didn't start with Harry.
Yeah. Yep. Done.
All right.
Solved it.
All right. We have Harry now. Fleur's back. She is going to be married. And to Bill. Shame that no one seems to be thrilled about it. Except maybe Ron. Although he just seems dazed. I love Ginny, though. She has sass and she is fierce. She has a perfect mixture of Fred and George for her wit and mischievousness, a bit of Hermione for her intelligence and insight, and something that is uniquely Ginny, her passion about justice and deeply caring for others. She is amazing. I mean, how she came up with the nickname Phlegm is beyond me, but I deeply appreciate her outrage at Fleur.
I think it's unjust, but whatever.
I also love Ron and Hermione so much for how they respond to Harry telling them about the prophecy and what Dumbledore told him. He needs them so much to not feel isolated, weird, and distant, as he did all last year when he was cut off and dealing with PTSD. But now Harry can't be an Auror. This is indeed a bummer. But what do you think his next ambition will be?
Jedi retirement.
Jedi retirement. Yes. He can find Luke and start a Jedi retirement home.
That's right.
Well, will he have one, or will his sole purpose be finishing off Voldemort for the foreseeable future, which you also covered, actually?
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
I feel like that's at the top of the list.
All right. Next email from Wrestler Joe.
Hi, Wrestler Joe.
Says, hey guys, short email tonight for no other reason than I'm exhausted. I disagree with some of the emails last week that say they wanted more of Val. Now, before that starts a riot, let me explain. I love Val's opinion and think it works great on the movie episodes. However, if she were to jump on more often and share, I think Josh would be able to pick up on what's going to make it into the movie and what won't. And that, I believe, will take away from Josh's experience finishing up the series. Now, once we get through all the books, I wouldn't mind Val being on the show one bit. But for now, I think the movie episodes are great to have her on.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can see that.
Definitely.
Horace Slughorn seems like quite a character. And Dumbledore's master plan seemed to work perfectly to get him to agree to come back. The question is, why is it so important for Slughorn to come back? Couldn't he find another teacher to fill the post?
When Dumbledore sets his sight on a teacher, he goes all in on it.
Yeah. It makes you wonder if, in past years, has he always kind of gone out and found his guy? Or
And Moody, he did.
That's true. Or
Lupin,
did he just put out, the Craigslist ad?
Yeah, Lupin and Moody, he definitely went out and brought in 100%.
All right.
I don't know how Quirrell came to be, and we're not going to talk about the second.
Yeah, as far as we know, yeah, Quirrell's been was just had the job before Harry got there.
Yeah, when he wants a particular person in the position, he goes out and gets them.
All right.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that Dumbledore was pushing Harry to share the prophecy with Ron and Hermione. In the past, it seems like things would only be told on a need-to-know basis, whereas now Dumbledore wants him to share everything with them. Harry probably would have done that anyway, but coming from Dumbledore, it seemed a little strange. Private lessons with Dumbledore? Yes, please. Bill and Fleur are getting married. If Josh would have predicted that, I'd stop listening to the podcast.
Again, I'm pretty sure I knew they were a thing together. I don't know. That was not surprising at all.
I mean, but maybe they were dating, but you didn't know they were engaged.
No, but I mean, that's not a far stretch from that.
Sure, I suppose.
You know? Now, if I would have predicted, oh yeah, we're going to get Fleur back in Chapter 5, and we're going to learn all about her and Bill's impending wedding, yeah, I would have some questions about myself at that point. But I mean...
He does add, I'm sure he's surprised to see her return.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's the surprise.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Bill deserves to be happy. So does she.
There you go. I'm glad that they didn't just completely pass over the fact that they need to get their owl grades. I was pleasantly surprised to hear how they did. But that's all for me.
They got their owls by owls?
Yes.
Oh, how they did. Oh, okay. Like the results.
Yes.
I thought he meant
sorry.
like he was surprised or he was pleasantly.
How the results arrived, yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, how else would they get them?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Joe. We're on the same page.
All right. Finally, last email of the night.
What's up, Alex?
Sorry, Alex. Dear Josh and Matt, well, we didn't win in Game 6, but we won the World Series in Game 7, which means I'm back to writing in my emails at the last minute and not giving Matt the chance to pre-screen them. You're welcome. Thanks. That being said, I don't have much to contribute this week. These chapters are pretty bland. They set up important stuff for in the story later on, but they don't really do much else. Oh well. The only thing I do want to talk about is apparition or whatever. We finally get our first description of what it's like to travel this way. While I'm sure it's useful, it sounds very unpleasant. I think most of wizard travel sounds unpleasant, actually.
Yeah.
Like even the night bus, like you get thrown around all the place. Like I honestly think one of the best ways is by broom.
Yeah.
You get more control than just about any other method.
Or Thestral.
Well, okay, yeah. Thestrals are nice too.
Yeah. As long as you can see them.
Yes, assuming you can see them. It says maybe you get used to it, but maybe you don't, and you just deal with it, because let's face it, if you could teleport, I would do it, even if it was just go from laying in bed to laying on the couch.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. While reading Harry's harrowing experience of spatial displacement, I found myself wondering why one would ever choose to apparate over taking a port key. They're both instantaneous, and they both get you to exactly where you need to go. Port keys have the added benefit of being able to take large groups of people, and as far as we know, you can't splinter yourself from one. Which on its own should be enough reason to take a port key. The only slight hiccup is that port keys are regulated by the Ministry, which I was thinking the whole time he was going through this, for some ill-defined reason. But
also, aren't they just have a designated location? Like, you can't just like jump into a port key and like it's already pre-decided where the port key is going to go.
Yeah, that's the thing is you would have to create a port key every time you want to go somewhere,
right? As
opposed to apparating, you just kind of do your thing and you're gone. You don't need another object other than your wand,
right?
Yeah. So yeah, they're regulated by the Ministry for some ill-defined reason, but with things being so chaotic, I think they have more important things to do than chase down illegal port keys. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that for long-distance travel, port keys are the way to go. I would still probably apparate upstairs, though.
Did you put a port key in your own house, like just to go from upstairs to down?
Well, you could, but once again, they're always one-time use.
Oh, that's right.
So you have to keep. I mean, you could use the same object over and over.
Sure.
But every time you have to. You commented on. We saw Dumbledore make a port key, and so you'd have to use the spell every time to make that thing a port key every time you wanted to go.
Right.
Yeah. It's rough.
It is.
But that's all I have for you.
Cool. Well, thank you to Alex, and thank you to everybody that wrote in. As always, a lot of fun emails. You guys are really kicking butt with emails lately. Gotta say that.
They have been.
Fantastic. Before we sign off for the night, we have to do one more thing, and that's announce next week's giveaway. I'm so excited. Matt, what are we going to be giving away next week?
Well, believe it or not, if you've been tracking all the Harry Potter goodness that's out there right now still, we have another book release.
Yes, we do.
And this one, as Josh hinted at, he is very excited for, because it is the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them Illustrated Edition.
Oh my goodness. Best part about this?
Yeah.
I can read it. That instantly makes it 10 times better than any other book you may be offering up. Yeah, no, it's cool. It comes out tomorrow. I can't wait to see the inside. They're not even showing previews of it or anything yet. So.
No, we have the cover. If that's the final cover, they actually decided to stick with.
I'm freaking out. I can't wait.
Because I honestly I believe the cover they sent out for the a journey through a history of magic, the first book we gave away, I believe that cover changed.
Yeah.
From the picture that's on Amazon to the book I actually got.
Yeah. So we'll see. Looks awesome.
Yeah, we might not know anything about this book.
Yep. I can't wait. So we'll be giving away that next week. What I want everybody to do is write in an email, talesfromgodrixhollow@gmail.com. Very simply, if you had the ability to apparate, where would you apparate to and why? What would you do there? What's the reason? And no, you can't apparate to Hogwarts because, as we've learned from Hermione, you can't apparate in or out of Hogwarts.
Yes.
So don't include that in your emails or you're automatically disqualified. I feel like we've learned one lesson from this entire series. That's the one lesson.
All right.
But anywhere else in the world, where would you apparate to and why? What would you do there? talesfromgodrixhollow@gmail.com. Matt, thank you, as always, for another wonderful episode. We'll be back next week as we read chapters 6 and 7 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
You got it.
I look forward to it, definitely. I hope everybody else does also. You can find me on Twitter, personally, at The Noise with a Y. Follow the show on Twitter at TalesFromGH. You can follow our Instagram accounts at Tales from Godric's Hollow. You can check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Website, talesfromgodrixhollow.com. You can find the show notes. You can find the shop. You can find the calendar. You can find anything that you are looking for related to this show over on that website. And finally, if you'd like to support us and what we're doing here for you guys, the amazing community, you could do so over on Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people find you at?
You can always find me personally at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, as always, for anything email related, I think you guys have this down very well. Giveaways, spoilers, news, whatever pictures you want to send along. talesfromgodrixhollow@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Next week will be episode 72. Again, 2 chapters. Chapters 6 and 7, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Till then, muggle out.
Mischief managed.